service your existing car with us right now.
And it's worth £500 off your next car.
Yes, at Macklin Motors Toyota, we'll give you a £500 voucher off any of our brand new Toyotas when you book in for a service with our expert Toyota trained technicians.
We even have complimentary courtesy cars available, so book your service now and get £500 off any new Toyota.
Visit macklinmotors.co.uk or see us at Kennishead Road, Darnley.
Macklin Motors, the new name for Toyota sales and servicing in Glasgow.
Valid on services till 30th September. Excludes Motability and fleet customers. One £500 voucher per vehicle purchased by 31st December.
7 minutes away from kick-off in Poland in the Legia Warsaw Stadium. Shakhtar Donetsk against Celtic. Donetsk, obviously, can't play in the Donbass region because of the war with Russia, so it's been switched to neighbouring Poland. There'll be 31,000 in the stadium tonight. In fact, most of them are in, and around 2,000 of them are Celtic fans. And there's a surprise in the Celtic lineup. Celtic start Hart, Juranovic, Jens, Carter, Vickers and Taylor. McGregor the captain, O'Reilly and Hatate. Kyogo up front. Alongside him, Jota and Haksabanovic. Peter Grant, good evening, welcome.
Good evening, Paul.
What's happening there, Haksabanovic?
I think he's done fantastic against Madrid when he came on. The short period he was on, he was very positive in his runs, and he had a few shots at goal, and I think that's very important that Celtic try and score a goal, obviously, because it's going to be a very, very difficult game. You know, I watched Shakhtar and I thought they were exciting. You know, I thought they were really pacey, quick in the front line, and can cause you problems. We always say that's probably where maybe Celtic's deficiency is, because they like to attack so much.
Yep, 4-1 for them last week against Leipzig. Mark, this is a massive game for Celtic. There's a huge feel-good factor at Celtic, despite losing 3-0, but it was to Real Madrid. What are you feeling about tonight's game?
I don't think Celtic can afford to lose, Paul. If they lose tonight, I think they're out of the race for second place. 0 points out of 6, and that would give Shakhtar 6 out of 6. So a point tonight I think would be a fabulous result for Celtic away from home, providing you win your home game. To me it looks like a mini league. Celtic, Leipzig and Shakhtar. There's 4 games, there's 12 points up for grabs. You get one tonight, 3 would obviously be different class, but Shakhtar are going to be tough, Paul. People think, oh, Shakhtar should be fine because of everything that's going on in Ukraine, but look at them last week. There's clearly a real togetherness in the Shakhtar camp. They've got a lot of talented footballers, and Celtic will need to produce something very special to get anything from the game tonight.
Anyone playing against the Ukrainian team, the world, the whole of Europe wants them to win, Peter, and we can understand that. And how much does that give you extra for the players?
I'm sure the players will want to go out and do themselves justice anyway, and because this is the place, the stage that they all want to be on and get the big moves that they all desperately want. But if I'm right, Shakhtar not played away since 2014. You know what I mean? So that's been a lot to do. They're used to this. We thought at first maybe be a hindrance, but obviously because it's not been something new to them. They know how to do it, they know how to deal with it. It's horrendous what's going on in their home country, of course, you know, and there's obviously family in the background, but as we say, football comes wise, and that's what they would try to do, is get the result for their country. The teams are in the tunnel. It's a magnificent stadium. I was in it covering the game 8 years ago when Celtic lost there. But there's the captain. The bench that Celtic have got: Bain and Siegrist, Giakoumakis, Abada, Moy, Turnbull, Bernabe, Abelgard, Maeda, Forrest, Ralston and Welsh. That's quite some bench. So we're going to have that on. It's on BT Sport. This is the Go Radio Football Show with Macklin Motors. Mark Guidi, distinguished journalist, who joins us tonight. I don't know why I'm smiling at that, because he is. No, he was smiling.
He is, that's right. And distinguished player Peter Grant of so many clubs. And we'll hear a bit from GVB at halftime, because so the plan tonight is Rangers are on later. We're not on at that point, but we're on till about 8 with this one, okay? Yep. Because Rangers being at home, there's 50,000 people there, and many will be watching it there. So we're doing the Celtic, given that they're away from home, and there's 50,000, 60,000 who would be if it was at Celtic Park, and we would reverse it. We would have been coming, of course, from Radisson Red if the Queen hadn't passed away just a number of days ago. So I think it's the right thing for us to do tonight. Absolutely. The football goes on, and for Rangers fans, the roads are busy as well already, heading for Ibrox for the 8 o'clock game tonight, and we'll chat about that, Mark, but it's a massive one for Rangers, no question.
Listen, it's the same scenario for Rangers. They've lost their opening game, even more so probably with Rangers being at home, but Napoli looked different class against Liverpool, a couple of penalty kicks albeit, but they're top of Serie A, Paul, they know their stuff. Spalletti, the manager, has been round the block, and they are missing their main striker right enough. But Rangers, it's a hell of an order that they've got tonight to go and get something. But as you say, with 50,000 Rangers supporters in the stadium, you can't rule anything out.
Peter,
I think it'll be difficult with both Glasgow clubs. There's no doubt in my mind of that. I think they're playing against very good sides, very good players. Rangers obviously had a a poor performance. Celtic were, I thought, very, very good for the first period of the game till Real Madrid scored the first goal, which was always going to be important. Maeda had a massive chance and misses it, obviously, and that was the thing that turned the game completely in that respect, even though Real Madrid were always there, but then they just tamed total control. So it's going to be two, obviously, very, very difficult games, and if the teams get points from it, it'll be a fantastic night.
We just see there on the television the small band, a couple of thousand of the Celtic fans in Poland, in Warsaw, that magnificent city where they're playing tonight. The home side start this. Trubin, huge goalkeeper, isn't he? They call him, he's a terrific keeper. Trubin, Bondar, Stepanenko, the captain, Sudakov, Shved, that you all know well, scored 2 last week and scored at the weekend. Mudryk, Zubkov, Bondarenko, Matvienko, Taylor, the Brazilian, and Konoplea. Celtic, Hart, Juranovic, Jens, Carter-Vickers and Taylor, McGregor, the captain, O'Reilly, Hatate, Jota and Haksabanovic, Kyogo up front. Peter, that's almost their the starting 11 at the moment, apart from, well, you'd have thought maybe Abada, but you can never tell.
Yeah, but what you're saying, Paul, is when you look at the bench, there comes the difference for me with both the Glasgow sides, you know what I mean? I look at that and I think it's a very, very strong bench. You want all these players to go on and perform at their highest, because I think they will have to do that. It's a fantastic atmosphere. We talk about Celtic Park's atmosphere, which is magnificent to go and play in. Now we have to go there and handle that, and the players will handle it no problem. But it's just a matter of how they perform in it, you know, and that's the most important thing.
Here's what Ange Postecoglou said, the brief word from him just before kick-off.
In terms of, like I said before, in terms of what the challenges are tomorrow, whatever their coach says, whatever I say, we'll see what how a game unfolds. We'll be ready for whatever happens. And in terms of confidence, my confidence is the same as it was last week. It's 7 days on, so we've got to go out there tomorrow, try and play our football and win at a level that we know is always going to be challenging.
Mark, we can see the two managers there embracing just beforehand. What's your scoreline? What do you think tonight?
I think Celtic could lose this one tonight, Paul. Unfortunately, I'll just be straight up and say I think that Shakhtar will win 2-1.
You think 2-1 for Shakhtar? Yeah. Peter, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I'll never go against Celtic. I always, and you know that myself, but I'm concerned about this one because I think they're very pacing areas that I feel could cause us problems, and it's always been my concern getting into this level of football. You know, the Champions League is the pace up front, and is it Mudryk you call him? Was unbelievable, unplayable last week, you know, so that's a concern for us. But listen, Celtic have proven it time and time again they can bring big performances, and if their big players play well, which you always need today, and that big player could be Joe Hart. That's the one that could be massive for us in the respect of, because you need your goalkeeper playing well if the team is getting pillared, you know, with the opposition, and he's got that experience, and that maybe be the saving grace for Celtic, because he's a top quality goalkeeper who's played at the highest level, and if the team's getting a wee bit of a run around, he could be the one that could be the difference in the game.
The possessions, don't worry about the possession stats, because they had 38% last week, but won 4-1, so it's about what Celtic do. Celtic did regret not taking the chances though against Real Madrid.
Yeah, but it's a lesson. It's a good lesson, Paul, for getting into tonight. You know, the players will be more on it. You know, you look at Haksabanovic, he's in there for a reason. The manager's got full trust in him. He's thrown him in. I mean, it's a hell of a compliment to Haksabanovic when you're leaving out Abada from your starting lineup and Maeda, because those two are top players. So he's been given a real vote of confidence. O'Reilly, Hatate, McGregor, absolutely solid. We know what they can do, and as Peter mentioned, Joe Hart, at some point tonight he's going to have saves to make, as is the case with Rip Trubin, the goalkeeper there that he mentioned too. But look, I think Shakhtar will win the game, but Celtic can easily go there and win, Paul. They can go and get their section off to a flyer in game 2.
So it's the Go Radio Football Show with Macklin Motors. Peter Grant, who's played in so many European nights. These are special nights. It's obviously been very low key this week, quite properly, but now you've just got to get on with the game. Absolutely, that's the focus now. The game's going to start, and that's what the players will all be delighted about. All the small talk about everything else that's going on around the world and everywhere else, where they're playing, whatever, you know, we've just got to concentrate, and that's what players have got to do. Concentrate in the match, get the game done, go and put in a big performance, and I'm sure they're capable of it. It'll be fantastic to see them getting a good away performance, because I don't think we've seen that many of them in the top European destinations in recent years. And we've just kicked off, and Celtic will be playing left to right as we look from the stand. It's my recollection was it was even up at the media. They brought the great facilities in that stadium, and it was noisy. And a lot of the locals will be supporting Shakhtar, and there's a fair number of Ukrainians. They're playing in it. What colour of strip would you say that is? Is it verging on the? Is it tan or orange? And as they play the ball back to the keeper,
it's more like Hull City, isn't it?
Good shout.
It's more like Hull City.
Yeah,
you probably, if you were looking at it that way, you say Hull City. That's probably the closest I could get to.
Excellent. So Peter Grant, Mark Guidi, Paul Cooney in the Go Radio Football Show. We started a wee bit later tonight as Celtic come forward. Mark,
great chance here. Great save, you're right. You mentioned him, Paul, at the top of the show, Trubin, the goalkeeper, and what a save he's just produced there. Different class. Yep,
it was Kyogo who was through. And guys, you've got the big screen behind you. Can you see okay?
Fantastic ball for O'Reilly. Again, they've pressed high and they've won the ball. Mark's won it and played it quick ball through to Kyogo, and the keeper's had a great save with his left foot. But Celtic have not changed anything. Celtic are on the front foot. They're playing high. They're trying to make them play through them. And Shakhtar are trying to play out. They're not going long, which you thought they'd maybe try and use the spaces in behind, but they've tried to play in. You can see they're comfortable in possession, but fair play to Celtic, they're playing it like a home game.
Have you seen yet? Is Jota on the right or is he on the left? Is it too early? I haven't seen him yet. As the camera's close up there on Ange Postecoglou. What a huge night for Rangers tonight as well against Napoli. With Liverpool, just shows you go all the way to the end, and they got that late goal 2-1 last night.
Yes, and listen, Napoli were excellent last week. Liverpool didn't play well. Well, people will say Liverpool didn't play well, but you've got to give great credit to Napoli. Didn't allow them to play well. They were on the front foot. They got a couple of penalty kicks. Don't get me wrong, I thought some of Liverpool's defending, even for the goal last night, I thought Trent Alexander was really poor at the goal again last night. You've got to let the ball go outside you, and a top quality player like him goes out to mark the touchline. There's no doubt there, and it cost him dearly, and he constantly does it. And you can see now why, that's when we talk about Gareth Southgate not picking him. And that's the levels they're at for these competitions, because in competitions you're out the game. You lose one game, there's a possibility of being out.
Jota down the right, turns, checks, plays it into the box, Mark, but it's cleared. But I know there's only 2 minutes 45 seconds gone, but Celtic on the high press.
They are. I mean, it's Jota on the right, Kyogo through the middle, and Haksabanovic on the left hand side. He's just in possession now. But what's clear, Paul, that the way that you're right, we're only 3 minutes into the game, but it's shaping up like Celtic's home game. They're on the front foot, they're in possession. Shakhtar happy to let them have possession, but they were happy to let Leipzig have possession last week, and they'll look to counter. But Celtic very, very comfortable, and as much as it was a sore one against Real Madrid last week, they did play well, and they'll come into that game with confidence tonight because of the performance last Tuesday in Glasgow.
As we see Jota, who's been in sparkling form, I see Kyogo, as we announced last night, is the player of the month for August. But a lot of people would say, they wouldn't deny him that, but Jota must have run him close for that, Peter.
Absolutely. But when you're scoring goals, that's the important thing. Everybody always looks at it. That's why they get the big money. And as I say, he'll be disappointed with the chance, even though the keeper's had a good save. It's a big chance for him, and these are the difference. Now they're on the attack again here. Shacks have not been out their own half.
Mark, great chance here, right across, rasping ball.
Oh, it's a great cross, I think, from Greg Taylor, and Kyogo's just inches away. It was a tap in. I think they might have a corner kick, might have taken a deflection. But I tell you what, another guy who's been brilliant, Paul, and I hope he was in the run, Greg Taylor.
I pointed at you. Peter didn't point. I pointed as to whip the ball into the box. It's headed away there. I knew you were going to say Greg Taylor. We spoke about him last night. Peter Grant, who's on Sky there as well. I looked at him. He was sitting where you were 24 hours ago. But I was like, whoa, there he is. But he was saying that about Greg Taylor. I know that a lot of people say he wasn't at the top level, but this season doing much better. It's Celtic again. 4.5 minutes gone. Shakhtar 0, Celtic 0. Some great play down the left. Great ball into the box. Header straight into the arms of the goalkeeper.
They've had 3 opportunities now, and it's fantastic play with Celtic. They've started really, really well, and that's what the manager will be delighted at. The last team I seen playing this was a Russian team, actually. And they played so deep against, and it was a team that kept beating Barcelona, if you remember, at the Nou Camp. And they always played a 4-4-2, but they played really deep and then would just break quickly. And they have the pace to do that. And that's what Celtic have got to be very, very careful at, because they've started so well. They can't have started any better. It's a perfect start for the manager. If you're the manager sitting there, this is exactly the way you wanted it to go. What a very, very unlucky again. Big deflection, or Kyogo would have been tapping into empty net.
He would have 5 minutes gone. Mark Guidi, Paul Cooney and Peter Grant on the Go Radio Football Show. And later, of course, Rangers up against Napoli in town It's the Champions League, the big tour, isn't it? Last week was
City's buzzing there.
Yeah,
City's absolutely buzzing. Yeah,
and contrasting narrative last week, and Celtic don't want to go and get another defeat because with no games at the weekend, it's been a while since that happened. They're on an unbeaten run, and it's a massive game for them just because of their history in Europe in recent years has not been great.
Absolutely, and that's what you're always judged on now when you get out and win your league in Scotland. That's what people talk about. It's only Scotland, which I disagree with, as I said to you so many times. It's more than that, and how people will find it difficult coming here. But to be fair to them, you know, they've been in there, they've started really, really well. I mean, if you're sitting here, you'd be thinking, who's the home side here? It's like a home game for Celtic starting at Celtic Park in the Premier League match at this moment in time. Shakhtar, I don't think, have been in the other half yet. We've not seen Joe Hart on the television. That tells you how well Celtic have started. So, but as I say, they have to put in a performance, and if they could get a fantastic away result, that'd be massive for them, because we always talk about winning your home games. Obviously they've lost that, but if you could get that back, that Real Madrid result back by winning here tonight, that would really put you back in it again.
Some good play by Celtic down the left. Kyogo almost got through, but it's cleared, and it's Shakhtar playing in what looks like a Hull City strip. No, well done, Peter. That is what it looks like. I was thinking it's not quite Dundee United, and Celtic playing in the familiar hoops tonight. 0-0, 6.5 minutes gone. Mark, I'm just thinking Callum McGregor, you see him driving forward a few moments ago, his determination, he must, obviously does, he wants to do so well in Europe with Celtic.
Yeah, I mean, he's been terrific as a captain, a great leader on the park. I think he represents the football club very well off the park as captain too. He gets the tone right, he says the right thing, he releases information that needs to be released, and when he has to be firm and protect his football club, his teammates, his managers, supporters, he does so, and he does it very, very well. But if for Celtic to tick and for Celtic to go and win tonight, Paul, at a venue like this, like away to Shakhtar, then Callum McGregor's got to be right on it, because he pulls the strings, he sets the tempo for the team.
You saw Joe Hart a moment ago, and he just played the ball out to the left as Celtic come forward again, but it's that Hatate just lost out there, but it's picked up by Callum McGregor, plays it out to the right to Juranovic. Juranovic plays it infield. Haksabanovic, he's tackled. It's going to be a free kick, surely. Yeah.
That gives you the thing with Celtic as well, the confidence they've got in the ball, and that comes for you. And I think at this level, and I kept saying it at international level as well, if you can't handle the ball, and because of the way Celtic play, it's becoming easier for them. You know, they're playing at a quick tempo, they're playing it like a home game, they've got the ball coming in quickly, which I'm surprised, because I don't know if you're allowed to do that abroad, and obviously they're well versed, the ball boys even here, because the ball's coming in so quick, and it's given them an opportunity to keep the tempo of the game and not allow Shakhtar to get a foothold in the game. So they'll be delighted. But as I say, handling the ball, McGregor, O'Reilly, Hatate, in that central area, they all do that exceptionally well. They all handle the ball very well, and they see pictures round about them, so they can take the ball under pressure in tight areas. And Joe Hart as well. That, if you remember, that's what Pep Guardiola seemingly got rid of him for, was his distribution, and how well he's done since he's been at Celtic, maybe one or two, but you're going to make mistakes with the way they play, you know. But great credit to them for giving the confidence to try and play it that way. They've won it again in the final third.
Well, sorry, I should know this, but were you at Birmingham when Joe was there?
No, Big Alec taking him in on loan, and actually Big Alec loved him, and he'd done it fantastically well, by all accounts, when Alec taken him in. So he was a great character. All the things you wanted from him. We tried to sign him at West Ham actually, when he was at
Joe Hart.
Yes, when he was at was it Shrewsbury?
Yeah, it was his hometown team. Yeah,
Shrewsbury. And I went to see him, and I came back, and Big Ludo McCloskey was the goalkeeping coach. I said, "Oh, Ludo, he'd definitely go, and you would take him." But Manchester City spent about £600,000 on him then.
Free kick for Celtic, almost on the corner flag, just maybe a yard out. Quickly taken, Mark, played into the box, but straight past the post.
Yeah, it was just it was looking too much. You know, they needed to be more driven for Carter Vickers to get a header on it. But I tell you what, just again, it's early. We're inside 10 minutes, but Celtic very, very comfortable 0-0. But I like the look at Haksabanovic. You can see why he's in the team, and he just looks every inch an Ange Postecoglou type player.
He was a £6 million player last summer, wasn't he?
He really looks superb. Very direct, strong, powerful. I really like the look of him.
Well, the interesting thing is, if you listen to the manager when he signs other players, probably not up to speed the way Celtic train, the way they want to play this high tempo. Obviously he's been probably playing great games, but to put him in this game after his performance last week says more than enough. Yeah, how good the manager's probably looked at him in training in the last few weeks.
10 minutes have come and gone, and it's Celtic coming forward. Mark Guidi down the left, and it's Haksabanovic again, slides it through, looking for Hatate. Must be goal for Celtic. 1-0 Celtic, 10 minutes exactly, and I think it's Rio Hatate who's going to claim it.
Yeah, it's definitely it's either Hatate or Kyogo. Kyogo maybe didn't want to touch it for fear of being offside. I'm not sure, because they did look to see if the linesman put his flag away. Didn't. They all seem to be congratulating Hatate. Great ball and a lovely weighted pass from Haksabanovic, I think. Peter, right into the path of Hatate, and for Hatate to be that far up the pitch. But I tell you what, Paul, Celtic absolutely deserved to win the lead. Inside 11 minutes, Shakhtar 0, Celtic 1, and a brilliant counter-attack.
Look at that there. You've got 5v2. Because Kyogo's position, he's staying in that offside position. Dragged their 2 defenders still back. Celtic had 5 now. They've got a 5v3 in the box. It's incredible, for an away fixture, But listen, Kyogo, fair play to him, because he didn't know if he was offside. And it's very unusual for a striker to leave that ball going, let me tell you.
That must have been tough for him.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Top scorer in Scotland, looking to get his joint with Leila
As you say, they thoroughly deserved it. I mean, they've had 3 or 4 opportunities now, but great credit to them the way they played. But there we go. Mudryk, who we were talking about, it was him at lose possession. I think it was Juranovic's tackle, won the ball back, and here they go again.
H&H, Haksabanovic and Hatate put Celtic 1 up. We've played 11 minutes 13 seconds, and Mark Guidi, Celtic keeping on the pressure down the left.
So comfortable, Paul. Just Celtic looking every inch the part, and to be honest, they're pulling Shakhtar all over the place. Shakhtar beat Leipzig 4-1 away from home last midweek in the Champions League, but right now Celtic absolutely on top.
Okay, we're going to go for the news in a moment or two, and then we'll be straight back. Celtic are 1 up.
The Go Radio Football Show with MacklinMotors.com, representing some of the biggest motoring manufacturers across Scotland.
Let's go!
Go Radio Football Show with Macklin Motors. Celtic is still 1 up against Shakhtar in Warsaw. The goal coming in 10 minutes. We gave it to Reo Hatate, but I see on the telly they're putting it down as an own goal. Bondarenko. Peter Grant.
I'm very surprised at that. When we're watching it here, the only one we were concerned about was Kyogo tapping in and getting the goal chalked off. And then Kyogo there with the pass back to the goalkeeper, he was so unlucky. He closed them down, and the keeper was lucky to get away with it to score again. So a great opportunity again. Close again, just a few moments ago.
Yeah, Celtic almost going 2 up, Paul. Kyogo very, very sharp, and certainly one thing we can see is that Trubin, the goalkeeper, he's willing to take gambles at the back with the ball. I'm sure that Celtic will appeal the goal decision to try and get it for Hatate, because he certainly deserves it. He certainly does, doesn't he? His first goal in the 2 games, and to score in the Champions League, Peter, no mean feat.
Absolutely, and I can't see what they were even seen in it, Paul, to be perfectly honest with you. Because one of the reasons Kyogo lets it go, because he knows what Hatate's had the last hit. But you didn't see it deflecting. The shot was on target, and 9 times out of 10 that's given to the player anyway. But I didn't even see the deflection even in the replay.
No. We're calling it here on Go Radio definitely a Hatate goal. It was the double H, wasn't it? Haksabanovic, Mark, your eyes, you're really impressed. Yeah, really, and I have to say Celtic are so comfortable, and I think we can see now, Paul, we'll get into September when it's 2 games a week now for Celtic. You look at the way they destroyed Rangers 4-0 at Celtic Park. Yes, they lost to Real Madrid, but what a fist they made of it. And then tonight so far, 9 goals at Tannadice, etc, etc. The benefit that the manager has had of having 4 or 5 quality training sessions a week. We're only playing Saturday to Saturday. You can see that the organisation, the hunting packs, they know what each other's doing. You can see the real benefit. They've not been sitting there having days off and wasting their time. They've been working very, very hard on a plan. Great point. Working hard there was Marian Shved looking for a penalty. He went down there. Peter, no, it was never a penalty kick. The ball was fully clean. I'm not saying that. No, obviously for Celtic's favour, but it was nowhere near it. And the referee was bang on. He was right next to it. And to be fair to the player never made much of it. He was hoping more than anything else. The interesting thing for me is a little bit, I don't know if there's a slight difference to Celtic's shape a little bit, because O'Reilly seems to be very close to Kyogo. And and you're thinking to yourself, it's more like a 4-1-4-1, and he ends up being like a second striker, and then he drops in and Kyogo stays up the pitch. So that could be the slight difference with Hatate playing along with McGregor and Matt in front of them a little bit. That's what it seems more like. Probably because Shakhtar are 4-1-4-1, so he's maybe just gone and just gone straight up against them. Yeah, and just not going into the playmaker, not allowing that to get. If it's going to go anywhere, it's going to go wide, and then we'll deal with it if it goes out wide. And Matt's releasing himself very early, and Kyogo's working back into that position now. So they're playing like 2 strikers, really dovetailing. They always play 4-1, don't they? 4-1-4-1. Shakhtar, and the manager has adapted. Rangers will be up at 8 tonight against Napoli in town. I saw a couple of Italians around yesterday and today. I know there's not many. You do feel for the fans that they couldn't come, and the Rangers fans, many of them who have made their travel arrangements can't travel. But here comes Celtic down the left. Mark Guidi. Yeah, it's a chance now, and here's Haksabanovic again, left hand side.
poor decision there. I know he'd maybe try to pick out Kyogo, but I think he had better options. But still, Celtic very, very comfortable. That said though, Paul, Shakhtar having more of the ball, Celtic pinned back a wee bit, which is only natural. That's to be expected. But with 21 minutes on the clock, Celtic 1 goal ahead and absolutely worthy of that lead.
Watching it up here, the things that worried us about Celtic prior to the game, that seems to be happening with Shakhtar. Every time they go forward, the full-backs are too high, and there's massive gaps down the sides of the centre-backs, and Celtic are exploiting it every single time, and they end up with an overload. Celtic end up like 4-on-2, 9 times out of 10 with 1 ball going forward.
Go Radio Football Show with Macklin Motors, Paul Cooney in the company of Peter Grant and Mark Guidi. As Shakhtar come forward, as you said, great tackle there, wasn't it? By
You're lucky to get away with that nowadays.
Oh yeah, was it Carter Vickers?
Great tackle, fantastic tackle.
Yeah.
Well, I'm surprised, especially in Europe. Usually you can't do nothing in Europe.
I'm on the tiny telly here. It's not an excuse, just that. So Peter and Mark have got it there in the 60, 70 incher. Magnificent. It's in black and white, mind you, but we'll get a colour one soon. As a Shakhtar player takes a tumble, he's Greg Taylor saying, "Come on, que pasa?" Is it going to be? There's no free kick. Referee, this is his first European game.
Well, he's handled it very well so far.
First Champions League
he's been
game.
very, very close to every decision, and I think that's important for him, especially nowadays. We've even seen the mistakes on VAR. We've spoken about that before. I don't want to go down that line. No. But the referee seems to be refereeing it himself, which is fantastic, because he's right up. He seems fit enough to be in the area of the pitch where the action's going on, and his calls so far have been correct.
Last week, of course, Celtic against Real Madrid came so close. They lost 3-0. But Tony Cruz, he confirmed it's his favourite away stadium. Now, what should you take out of that, Peter, as someone who's heard it so often at Celtic Park? Is that a compliment, or is it... Because it wasn't easy for them.
No, I think the way the game goes, I mean, many a game we won at Celtic Park, we should never probably win against the quality we were playing against. And I've always said that makes a hell of a difference when the Celtic supporters there are full, as it will do for Rangers. I'm absolutely sure of that, But for us as Celtic supporters going to the game and the way it was, they were brilliant. The biggest thing was the compliment they played the players after the game. When they lose the game 3-0, they were still singing and supporting them because of the performances they've showed over the last year, and it's amazing that. And I think that's what surprised Real Madrid more than anything else, because they tamed the sting out of the game once they went 1-up. But it was fantastic to see in typical Celtic, like say Modric and that, Benzema getting a standing ovation going off the pitch. And I think that's very, very important. And players respect that no matter where they are. And it is a very unique place to play, there is no doubt of that.
You'd have thought if Benzema went off, then that's it bodes well for the second half, but it wasn't to be.
It's no bad replacement, has it, is it?
Phenomenal. Amazing. What we're missing, Mark, what's happening is Joe Hart strikes the ball, just plays it up out to the right to Jota.
Yes, I mean, I think now you can see that Celtic maybe doing a wee bit more defending and not controlling the game the way they were in the opening 15 minutes, but that's fine. They're still comfortable. Joe Hart's seen plenty of the ball, but with the ball at his feet, Carter Vickers, they're all just willing to take it. Paul, that's a good thing. They're willing to take the ball in tight spaces. Here we see it again, every single one of them comfortable in possession and just knock it about. Wee triangles, 5-10 yards, nothing major, but they'll probably kind of want to get up the pitch a wee bit more. They want to get sloppy. They don't want to allow Shakhtar a goal, so they'll probably just try and soak up this spell and then get back onto the front foot again and put Shakhtar under pressure, because I think Shakhtar, there's definitely another goal in this for Celtic, Paul. Shakhtar are shaky at the back.
That was a rare slight pass from Celtic.
Absolutely. But also the fact is, well, Shakhtar are a good side, and we've said that prior to it. This game's far from dead, and you can have so much domination. They've had a lot of great opportunities, maybe another 3 fantastic opportunities, and they've not taken them. They're a bit unfortunate. But this game is far from dead, because Shakhtar have not started to play yet, and we know they've got quality. And we've just got to make sure that we don't go to sleep, don't lack that concentration, because you know how quickly football changes. Within seconds, the game can be turned on its head, and I've seen it so many times in Europe.
Well, look at Tottenham last night.
100%.
Injury time at 0-0.
Yeah, absolutely.
They end up 2 down.
Absolutely. But look at the boy that won his bet or something. He in 90 odd minutes. 8 results or something, 4 of them came in after 90 minutes, on a bet. So that just shows you the way football is nowadays with this time wasting, everything else that goes on. There's 8 minutes, there's 12 minutes getting put on nowadays, and that's just what can happen. And as I say, at this moment in time, Celtic could do with another goal at this minute in time with the amount of domination they have, because if not, Shakhtar are going to have a period in the game. There is no doubt of that.
Celtic are 1-up against Shakhtar. It was the goal in 10 minutes. It was Celtic coming forward now. The goal in 10 minutes came from, well, we're giving it to Real Hatate. Mark, what's happening at the moment? We're seeing a bit more of Shakhtar.
Yeah, I mean, they're certainly having a lot more possession, Paul. they're not really penetrating, they're not forcing Joe Hart into saves, they're not getting Celtic pinned back, they've not had a one-on-one situation. But the good thing for Shakhtar, they'll just be happy to be seen playing to the ball. They'll build their way into the game. They scored 4 goals last week, remember, in Germany. Not an easy thing to do. So they've got goals in them. And yeah, they're going to be dangerous. As I say, Celtic are fairly comfortable, but there's a lot of hard work ahead.
Yeah, that was arguably the biggest result of that midweek, wasn't it? The opening night of the Champions League, or the 2 nights. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. But it just shows you, what was it, the 30% possession?
Yeah,
and that's something that could happen here again, you know. And you know they've got that pace, they know they've got the goals in them. And that's your concern. See, when you're dominating as much as they are, that's always your concern, because as I said earlier, you know they're always going to have a 10-15 minute period, and that's all these teams need with the quality that they have. Celtic have got that quality as well, you know, and that's what I'm saying. They should maybe take the sting out of the game at times. You don't get the few passes in, which they've done very well in situations there. But as I say, there's a long way to go. They've still not played yet. Now we just need to make sure we don't give too many silly set plays away, because that has been Achilles heel, really, you know, for the set plays. So we've got to make sure we defend these properly.
Peters, AC Milan 0 and Dinamo Zagreb 0 in a stadium you know well, the San Siro. Mark, here is a free kick, dangerous area into the box for Shakhtar, but it's cleared by Celtic.
Yeah, it's cleared by Kyogo, and then he's racing up the pitch to close down the defender. So yeah, good defensive play by Celtic. They had their shape, they had their line, and from a Shakhtar point of view, the free kick from Mudryk, who's such a top player, but it was pretty poor, to be honest.
But I think that shows you there. Kyogo headed in his own 18-yard box. The ball got cleared, it went back to the opposition goalkeeper, and he closed him down in his 18-yard box and made the keeper kick it quickly. And I think that probably sums up this Celtic team at this moment in time, the way they're playing. But it's led with a wee fella up front who goes and chases lost causes, which allows your back line to go up the pitch and squeeze the game, and that's exactly what we've done. Now Celtic have got a free kick up in their half now, which is fantastic play, you know.
Rangers fans, you will hear a bit from your manager on the way to the game tonight. At half-time we'll hear from Giovanni van Bronckhorst. We are going to talk exactly about the Rangers situation with Alan McGregor in goal. He's back tonight. Rangers fans, how do you feel about that? John McLaughlin injured, but here is a free kick for Celtic. Mark Guidi, it's going to be taken.
Matt O'Reilly, yep, 30 yards, 35 yards out, floated to the back post. Jens is up. Carter Vickers, chance for Taylor. Jens, great save again from Truman.
That was a chance, wasn't it?
Oh, big chance, big chance. I taught him that, Matt.
Take us through that one there, Peter.
I said you should wait for the ball dropping the second time and just strike it on target. That's what centre halves do.
That was a good chance, Mark.
It was, it was a really good chance, and again that will give Celtic confidence. A set piece, something they've worked on right to the back post. For Jens, knocks it down, and there's a bit of a scramble inside the box. And to be fair to Trubin, a decent save, kind of save that he would expect to make, but still it's on target.
We'll talk about the Rangers game in a second or two. You can't take your eyes or ears off this one and Go Radio, the football show, as they come forward again. Kyogo tries to get through. Is it going to be a goal kick or a corner kick? It's going to be a goal kick. So Rangers tonight, Napoli in town, and that was the big news last night. It's Alan McGregor in goals. I mean, you never want to be cruel, Peter, but I think to a man and woman, Rangers fans are happy that their number one keeper is back.
Well, I disagree, because I remember I've said to you all along, because I think John McLaughlin's been excellent at times, you know, and as I say, obviously the biggest problem is you're always getting is with Alan being in possession of the jersey. If he's there, you know.
Here's danger for Celtic. It's Shakhtar on the attack. Mark Guidi into the box. He strikes it past Joe Hart. It's 1-1 after 29 minutes. Celtic lose out there. It was a good break, and it's the man you talked about.
Yeah,
Mudryk scored. Yeah,
said with his pace, didn't we?
Yeah.
We said that's his pace, and that's what they'll find vulnerable on the changeover in these spaces down the centre back. And there was no turning back then, and it's their first opportunity, and that's what we're talking about at this level, isn't it?
They've just split Celtic wide open there, Paul. Good finish from Mudryk. I'm looking the first time thinking is Joe Hart down a wee bit early, could have stood a wee bit taller for a split second, but good play from Shakhtar. Take nothing away from them. And he's battered it from about 10 yards. It is really close into Joe Hart, but it's just a warning for Celtic. They were so comfortable, as Paul. They were just almost 2-0 ahead a moment ago. And Joe Hart, again, I don't know, I've been a wee bit harsh on him, but maybe a goalkeeper of his quality should be saving that.
No, I found it strange as well, the way his body was. He's turned away from it. You know, it's as
he
if
didn't
he
make himself
down.
big.
No, it's as if he went down and he'd actually hurt something. He was sort of grimacing his face, but it doesn't look as if he has. But they say make yourself as big as you possibly can, and Joe usually brilliant at that, making yourself big and getting hit with the ball in the face, whatever, the chest. But for some reason he's turned his body there and the balls went high above him.
He turned away, didn't he?
Yeah, he's maybe anticipating them, putting it more to he's left the goalkeeper's left hand side, kind of waist high, but he's taking a gamble. It's not really what. But the bigger concern, Paul, is just how easily they split Celtic open in that gap between Juranovic and Carter Vickers. That's the biggest concern and something they'll need to be wary of. And Celtic were so comfortable. Be interesting to see the possession stats, but it just shows you at this level you can't rule any side out, and you must be switched on for 90 minutes. Otherwise, you won't get anything out of the game.
Well, Trubin made a great save just a minute before. Celtic could have been 2 up.
Absolutely, and it tells you Mudryk, we talked about his pace, because Juranovic is not slow. And he ran away from him there. Carter Vickers has been dragged out and he slipped the ball in. He's onside when we checked it. But it's unusual because Callum McGregor, and it could have been a free kick, in the middle of the pitch. And the referee's actually given it, and they've given the ball away, and that's where they actually conceded the goal from. They gave the ball away, which is very unusual for Celtic in that situation. They usually slow it down and take that. And probably the time they've hurried up this time is the time they should attain a little bit of sting out it, and it's come back to bite them this time.
It's Champions League football. It's different,
absolutely.
Isn't it? You're up. A couple of notches really, Peter, aren't you?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, all these players are comfortable in possession of the ball, and we said that even though they're out the game and Celtic have been so dominant, 3 or 4 great opportunities, keepers had 2 great saves, all of a sudden you find yourself you could get a bit of chasing because, again, these players are comfortable in possession of the ball, and they're comfortable with it, and as long as you're comfortable with it, you've got pace up the front line, and we said that prior to it, and they've got a goal scorer. And listen, these are all the things, the ingredients you need to be a top team, and there's no doubt we all knew Shakhtar were a good side, and now they're showing a little bit. Now they're giving Celtic a little bit of run around now for the last 5 minutes.
So Celtic are 1-1 in Warsaw. You would take that at the end, or would you, Mark? I know,
I'd certainly take it at half time, Paul. I'd certainly take it at half time to get it 1-1 half time.
They come forward again, a chance here, and he misstrikes it and he gets it second time round. 2-1. But the ball might be out of play.
We're
watching VAR for this one.
Yeah, I think
guys
it'll
are on
go
it.
to VAR.
What happened there?
I think it's maybe been ruled out already. Yeah, it's been ruled out already.
I think the ball's not out of play in the touchline.
Yeah, I think it was a real close one.
Yep.
We'll see why it's been stopped. But again, it's a warning to Celtic. That same area, Paul, same guy getting to the byline. Yeah, it's well out. It's well out. Yep, it's well out.
Well spotted, Peter.
Yeah, we've got to make sure. Well, we're hoping and praying there. I think that was what it was. But as I said, again, great pace. He seems to be a problem. If the Celtic fullbacks are going high, that space between Juranovic is
it was
big
Fed
gap.
as well. Marion's Fed.
Well, you wouldn't have liked Celtic. Wouldn't have liked.
No, he's sore about how he was treated, wasn't he? He was in the mood.
Yeah.
But honestly, Paul, take one each at half time.
Yeah.
Get in and reshape. Maybe look at. Maybe tweaking it here and there. You've got really good options on the bench. But, as much as Celtic were so comfortable in the opening 15 minutes, this is a team that won 4-1 away from home. I don't think Celtic have ever won 4-1 away from home, certainly not in the Champions League. So it's a real marker of what this team's about. And regardless of the game being on neutral territory, as Peter said at the top of the show, it's been that way for 8 years for Shakhtar. It's nothing new to them.
Here comes Shakhtar again down the right. It's Shakhtar 1, Celtic 1, 33.5 minutes gone in Warsaw, and they come down the right. Peter, this looks dangerous again.
Yeah, the interesting thing for me is Carter Vickers seems to be going fishing. He seems to be going into the middle of the pitch.
And the ball played in. Good catch there by
That's
Joe
a top
Hart.
save.
Mark, that was a good move.
That's a top save. But where's Juranovic? Where's Juranovic there, Peter?
Good question. We'll answer that in just a moment or two.
The Go Radio Football Show with MacklinMotors.com, representing some of the biggest motoring manufacturers across Scotland.
Let's go!
Getting busy on the roads of Glasgow tonight as the fans head to Ibrox for Rangers against Napoli in Group A of the Champions League. Mark, it's going to be still 1-1 at Celtic. Huge game for Rangers tonight at home.
It's a mouth-watering game, Paul. Let's be honest, 50,000 inside. Ibrox game number 2 for Rangers. They want to bounce back from a heavy defeat last week in Amsterdam, and they're facing tough opposition. Spalletti's team are top of Serie A. They're really looking the part. They had a comfortable victory against Liverpool last week to show what they're all about. So for Rangers to get anything from the game tonight, and being honest, Paul, if Rangers could get a point tonight, I think that's a fabulous result.
For the Rangers fans, there's an instruction not to play any anthems, either the Champions League or the national anthem, but the Rangers supporters are going to be in their seats early to sing the national anthem. Looks as though that's going to happen. They're not allowed to play music at any of the anthems beforehand, Mark.
Yeah, but they're getting round it, if you like, by saying to the fans to go and sing it, which is fine if they want to go and do that. Then they're entitled to do it, as long as they don't do anything over the PA system. If that's the way Rangers want to play it, and their supporters are on board with it, as I'm sure they will be, and it'll all add to the paying tribute to the Queen, to Her Majesty, and also the build up for the atmosphere, which is a massive game. So
that's at 8 tonight. Meanwhile, in Poland, it's 1-1. Peter Grant, what's happening? A corner kick for Shakhtar, high one into the box. It's over the top. It's going to be a corner kick.
A great save from Joe Hart to start it, and then they get the corner. They've not dealt with it really well. They've just got I don't know if it's Maurice Jens or Matt O'Reilly's got a touch on it. And it's actually Hatate. It's Hatate coming down, and he's touched it by. So they've got another corner to defend here, and they've been under the cosh a little bit for the last 5-10 minutes. Celtic, so they've got to dig in there. They don't want to go behind before half time. That's for sure.
Corner kick from the other end, left footed. It's not a great one, headed away by
Callum McGregor.
It is, yeah. And it's going to be another throw in to Shakhtar. There's 7 minutes to go in the first half. 6 minutes now, Mark. They don't want to lose anything else. 1-1 after a brilliant start, but they're under the cosh a wee bit.
Yeah, I think they're under the cosh a big bit, Paul, to be perfectly honest. But what a really good opening 40 minutes it's been. Celtic, let's be fair, they're under the cosh now, but they've been comfortable. It's been a good European away performance. They've controlled the ball well. They've scored. They've put the goalkeeper Trubin under pressure. It's just defensively, it's just when they're so attack minded and so focused and pressing and getting up the pitch, particularly their fullbacks, teams will just pick you off. As Shakhtar have done a couple of times, and Celtic will need to be wary of that in the second half. But I would take one each at half time just now, Paul, all day long.
It's been as good a way performance I've seen, for Celtic for a long time. Let's give them credit where credit's due. It's never easy at this level, to play and be dominant for big periods in the game. And they were. For 30 minutes, they were dominant. But Shakhtar have showed how good a side they are. They've come into it now. Now they're keeping Celtic pinned in. But as I say, it's made for a fantastic game, and this is what the manager knows he's up against. He knows the quality he's up against. Then you've got the Leipzigs, the Real Madrid, Shakhtar. All the quality of the guys and the quality of the players you're going to be playing against. So you never can take the foot off the gas. And Celtic nearly got another opportunity. Kyogo went and closed down and was very unfortunate. It ended up a 2v1 there, and he was just so unfortunate. And then that could change the game again for Celtic. And they have the quality on the pitch that can win the game for them. There is no doubt of that. But Shakhtar are proving now what we already knew, that they're a good side.
Celtic are wearing the black armbands for respect for the late Queen, which is good to see. And so have the staff as well. Ange Postecoglou and his team have got.
The manager's always shown class. Let's be honest with him. He's always shown class since the day he came in the door. So fair play to him.
Celtic looking for a bit of class in the last 4 minutes on the pitch. It's Jota there, but they're breaking down the Celtic attacks.
Yeah, he's been quiet, Jota. He's been quiet. Listen, there's been a lot of defending had to be done, which is fine. He does put his shift in. He has to track back to help Juranovic, but in an attacking sense, I think Jota will want to try and look to step it up a gear, because he is capable of so much more, such a quality player.
I haven't forgotten that you said a wee bit and you said a big bit. They're under the caution. And Peter Grant, I said Rangers fans will be pleased to see the goalkeeper back, Alan McGregor, and he disagreed, but then something happened. So I don't know if we'll hold that till half time. The Rangers fans in the cars.
I agree with you. I think they'll be delighted to see Alan McGregor back, but I'm interested to hear Peter's take on it.
Well, 3 minutes to half time. Let's watch and see what's happening here as Celtic try to come forward. We haven't seen much of them, but it's going to be offside. Peter, what did you mean on that?
No, well, I think John McLaughlin, he's made a couple of errors. If the team's not played particularly well in the respect defensively, but we always said it at the start of the season, as soon as Alan re-signed and John was been known as the number one, every time he made an error, every time Rangers had a bad result, they were going to blame John McLaughlin, and I think that's been the case. I think he's been a bit unfair. Okay, he's had a couple goalkeepers. Joe Hart's had an error tonight. You'd expect Joe Hart to be out the team now. I don't think so. But that's the position you're as a goalkeeper, and I think John's handled it very well, and I think he needs the support for the Rangers ones. We always knew if you've got a superstar like Alan's been for Rangers, they would think that's their number one, and that is the problem when you've got somebody like that. They become even better when they're out the side and not playing, especially if you're not winning games. But it gives him fantastic experience. He's a fantastic goalkeeper, but it depends. He's not had many games, or if he's had any games, so I don't know if he's played training games or whatever. And maybe that suited him because of the injury problems he's had over the last few years. But there's no doubt he's a top quality goalkeeper. But it gives, for me, it's maybe worked in Gio's favour that way. But I feel a bit disappointed for John, to be perfectly honest with you.
You in cahoots with the manager?
No.
Everyone says John McLaughlin, good keeper, cracking guy, very good keeper. Nobody says he's a great keeper. And at Champions League, you probably need.
Listen, I said it, Paul. Rangers fans were critical of Allen last year, many times, and saying he was finished, he was this, and then all of a sudden it went on running. He was an outstanding goalkeeper. There is no getting away from that. He's an outstanding goalkeeper.
A chance there for Celtic, your old team, but it's picked up fairly easily by the goalkeeper, but a good late break for Celtic.
Yeah, Trubins had a couple of saves to make, took a wee deflection there, took the pace off the ball from Jota, just cutting inside from the right onto his left foot. The Celtic looking to get more and more into it again now, Paul, as we're 2 minutes from half time plus stoppage time, and Celtic thankfully they're looking a bit more comfortable taking control of the ball again.
Yeah, it's very important time, and they've done that. They've taken the sting out of there. They were under pressure there for about 10 minutes. Corners, obviously the goal, and they've done fantastically well to grip it again. And it's interesting he's talking about Jota. I think maybe the problem he's had, as I spoke about Mattarelli's position, changed a lot, but I think Jota's position, even though he's playing on the right hand side, he's playing more like a right midfielder, so he's got a different type of job tonight. It's not like that high wide player, which he usually is. He's more tucked in and playing a midfield role, and Matt's playing that one position.
Here comes Celtic. Jota, edge of the box, tries to get around a player, but he loses out, and it starts an attack for the home side. Mark?
Yeah, it's good play again from Mudryk, just takes control of the ball. See, Paul, that's the wee things here, and don't want to be over critical. Good play by Hatate, just shepherding that ball out, although they're waving play on. I thought it was out of play. But Jota's got two options there. He's got two teammates to pass the ball to 25 yards from goal. He tries to beat a man, loses possession there. It's here, look, pass it to Hatate. No, he doesn't. And all of a sudden they're on the counter attack. So it's wee things like that where you can get away with it on a Saturday afternoon, but midweek in the Champions League, you've got to make sure your decision making spot on.
Also the fact of that was when he's coming in, he's on his left foot. That's why we always say he makes better decisions on the left hand side, because he's pushing it with his right foot. This one he was taking on his left side, and he's probably not as comfortable, even though he's good both feet, but he's not as comfortable making that pass as he would be if it was on his right foot. And they're the small details at this level, and that's probably the thing the manager's looked at. It takes that away from him, but it gives us this in the particular team, and he's wanted to keep him in the team, obviously, for obvious reasons, obviously, but he's positioned for the team, and that's the thing that I'm liking about him. He's wanting to do a job for the team. It's not about individuals. You have to do this particular role. And as I say, maybe Maeda will end up seeing Maeda playing there late in the half, because they're getting a lot of power down this side of the pitch because of, maybe take Hamza Vadovic or whatever you call it, take him off, and they maybe move Jota to the other side and bring Maeda this side, because Mudryk is very quick, and that gives you that wee bit of power to help him on this side. Maybe do that at half time.
I think that's a great shout. You can see Maeda coming on the right hand side just to give Juranovic more of a hand.
Because Haksabanovic he's only played a few minutes, a number of minutes.
Absolutely. Nothing to do with his performance.
No, terrific. There's 20 seconds left in the first half. It's just 1 minute added, and it's 1-1. Hatate in 10 minutes. I think they've changed it at Champions League, so that's good. They're giving it to Hatate, and Mudryk scoring the equaliser after 29. Celtic with the last play of the first half. There's 9 seconds to go. It's Mark Guidi, Paul Cooney and Peter Grant. The ball down the right, played into the box. In fact, the keeper could have been a shout there, Peter.
I thought Jota had made his run to the front. I thought there were 3 Celtics players at the back post. If one runs across the front of it, he's got a tap in.
Half time, Shakhtar Donetsk 1, Celtic 1. Mark, what do you make of it?
Really good first half performance from Celtic, Paul. Thoroughly deserved a lead from Hatate. Shakhtar came more into the game, but Celtic very comfortable in possession, nice and tight. 1 or 2 wee scares. Joe Hart probably think he could have done better with equaliser from Mudryk on the half hour, but over the piece, Ange Postecoglou will be delighted, but they might feel that actually they should be in the lead. They had a chance to go 2-0 up. But a comfortable performance to go and do that away from home in Europe in the Champions League against a team who won 4-1 at Leipzig last midweek says a lot about Celtic and what they're doing just now under Postecoglou.
Better than you expected?
Yes.
Peter, what do you think?
Apart from 15 minutes, Paul, where Shakhtar taken over, I thought Celtic were the better side. They created the better chances. Their keeper had 2 great saves. Celtic a couple of bad misses. They got the goal. But we always said these good sides always have a period in the game. Always have. And in that period, you're hoping they don't score. Shakhtar scored, then had a couple of set plays, and Celtic were hanging on a little bit. And then they get back into it again. That's the pleasing thing about the last 5 minutes there. They take control again a little bit and let the game settle down, and never went 2-1 down before half time, which would have made it a really uphill battle, because Shakhtar have proven that they're a good team.
Back to Celtic shortly. Let's talk Rangers now, as thousands are heading, 50,000 tonight. Champions League, Rangers against Napoli. A month ago, we thought might well be Europa League for Rangers, but they did so well, just 3 weeks ago against PSV when they were up against the Kosh. But they've had a tough week, obviously losing 4 at Celtic, and then the same with Ajax. But the manager says that they're in good form and ready for this game.
Well, the mood is good. We've been together for now a couple of days. We have more training sessions than we are used to have before games. So the mood is good. Only, the time is tomorrow to perform.
And what about the philosophy? Would he make any changes?
No, nothing to change about philosophy. 2 weeks ago, we qualified for Champions League. Everything was fine. Everyone was praised about the team, about the staff, about the club. We're doing well. And 2 defeats later, it looks like we haven't performed in the last couple of years. I mean, that's the dynamic of football. So I'm not changing anything about my philosophy, how I want to play. Of course, there's a lot of room for improvement, but I think the most disappointing of the last 2 games that we didn't perform. And the disappointment I have, the players, for sure they have it, because we talked about it, and that's something that have to change. And losing 2 games against good opponents is, you don't play every year in the Champions League. And the level we facing now in a couple of months, we have never endured that in the last 12 years. So, of course, it's going to be tough. I don't understand why we have to put our philosophy on the side. We faced heavy defeats.
Strong stuff. Peter, what do you think?
I think he's right. I'm a big supporter of him. I think he's very good. I think his team, I like watching his team when they're playing well, in the respect of that. I think you look at the Ajax game, forget the Celtic game, because Celtic were excellent, Rangers didn't play well. But you look at the Ajax game, 3 out of the 4 goals were mistakes. You look at that, and I'll even take the one the boys smashed in. I thought Tavernier should have done better. He
was injured, wasn't he?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Sure. So I don't know he was injured. He gets taken off at half time, so I'm surmising, because I thought it was too easy to get by him and score the goal. But in the build up to other goals, plus the back pass for the last goal, that's what I'm saying. You lose 4 goals and it looks horrendous. And listen, that can happen in football, and I know Gio's had a bit of stick about certain things he said about financially. On the pitch, you're always hoping 11v11 you can outfight them, but sometimes the quality, you just haven't got that. And I've always thought Rangers, they brought 2 centre-backs in to be playing. None of them are available. They've changed the goalkeeper, Aribo's away, Bassey's away. So there's a big changeover. It's not just a matter of changing the team, that it's young players coming in to play at that level for the first time. It was a Europa League Rangers were in last year, not the Champions League. And people don't forget that. The quality's up another level again, you know what I mean? Yeah. And that's the thing we've got to be careful of. I hope they get a fantastic performance tonight. It'd be fantastic if they go there and get a great result. That's what you want, because we say, this is what it's all about. The 2 Glasgow teams are involved in Champions League football on this particular evening, whether it's one on a Tuesday, one on a Wednesday. It's magic, and that's what we want to keep that as long as we... So we want to support them, not give the players negativity or the manager negativity. You want to give them that support on the football pitch. And you see what happened last week at Celtic Park. They're 3-0 down, but at the end of the game they clapped off because they gave everything, had some great chances, but the quality of the opposition was just too much.
Mark?
Yeah, I mean, it's right. It's a big step up from the Europa League. Eintracht Frankfurt get thrashed last week in their Champions League game, and they won the trophy in May. What's happening to Giovanni Van Bronckhorst just now is the downside of being in the Champions League. As he says, first time in over 12 years they're in the competition. They're playing a top level team in Amsterdam, and they've taken a sore one on the back of losing 4-0 to Celtic. That's the downside of being in the Champions League, because as we know, Celtic and Rangers fans, they're brilliant, but they can be unforgiving as well, because they expect to win every game. There's nothing wrong with that, but it is unrealistic. But I like Giovanni's press conference there, Paul. He was bullish, he was defiant, and he was 100% correct in what he said. You listen back to everything he said there, 100% correct in everything he said. There's an unrealistic expectation level just now about the club, particularly when it comes to European football, and there needs to be just a backward step. Remember where they were, and what's been happening, the good that took place 3 weeks ago. That man secured nearly £40 million for the club in the playoff against PSV, inherited a player like Calvin Bassey and turned him into a £20 million player by working with him for 4 or 5 months. So the stick that he gets is totally unfair, and there just needs to be a wee step back and be mindful of where Rangers were and where they're trying to get to.
We're just seeing the highlights of Shakhtar 1, Celtic 1. The goal coming for Celtic, Reo Hatate. I think they're just showing it to see if it did take a deflection. Kyogo left it cleverly, didn't he?
It's taking a slight deflection off the player's knee, but the ball's going on target, and seemingly that's the reason. You know, if the ball's going on target, you're allowed that. That's who gets the goal. But it was a slight nick off the boy's boot, but the ball was going in that direction, so rightfully so. I'm sure the defender won't want to go. So give it to Hatate for sure.
We talked earlier who would be a goalkeeper. We're talking about the Alan McGregor, John McLaughlin situation. Here is the manager, GVB, speaking about his two keepers.
Of course, it's different for Alan that he's not started the games from the beginning, so that's different for him. He's still the same. He's still the same in training. You know, he's he's the same person, and I have every faith in him when he plays tomorrow because of the experience he has. And he will be fine tomorrow. So I have no doubt in my mind to have any doubts that he will not perform tomorrow.
So Giovanni Van Bronckhorst speaking about Alan McGregor, but you'd have no worries about him, would you, tonight, Mark? As a former keeper,
I would have had him as a number one. I get what Peter's saying. Absolutely, there's nothing wrong with John McLaughlin, but I think for me, Alan McGregor is a better goalkeeper. But he's going to be busy tonight. Paul, you know,
do you think
Peter
that,
highlighted?
But I'm looking at it from the manager's point of view, right? Alan McGregor, at his best and at his fittest, is a number one, probably in Scotland, not just for Rangers. The manager's been watching through pre-season, the end of last season, how many times he can train and not train, how many games he can play and not play. And I think the managers went, it's a very, very difficult position to be chopping and changing. You know, people were saying, cannot use him for European night and use the goalkeeper for the...
That's impossible. I agree on that. That's a nonsense.
That's
You've
impossible.
got a number one and that's it.
That's impossible. So I think there's a bigger thing, because I'm absolutely guaranteed that Alan McGregor would be the number one if he'd all these things. There's no doubt of that.
Listen, whatever Giovanni Van Bronckhorst picks teams to win games, so he believes John McLaughlin. He'll consult with Colin Stewart, the goalkeeping coach, and they'll come to a decision. I respect their decision, but I'm not in there every day. But I'm just going on it. I would have Alan McGregor. I would have Alan McGregor as my number. It was only 10 weeks ago he was starring in European games and helping them get to the final. He made mistakes last season. John McLaughlin's made mistakes, but I think tonight could be the start of Alan McGregor regaining that jersey.
The big tour in action tonight. Rangers at 8 o'clock. We'll have the team news soon. Celtic at half-time in Warsaw. It's 1-1.
The Go Radio Football Show with MacklinMotors.com, representing some of the biggest motoring manufacturers across Scotland.
Let's go! Service your existing car with us right now,
and it's worth £500 off your next car.
Yes, at Macklin Motors Toyota, we'll give you a £500 voucher off any of our brand new Toyotas when you book in for a service with our expert Toyota trained technicians.
We even have complimentary courtesy cars available, so book your service now and get £500 off any new Toyota.
Visit macklinmotors.co.uk or see us at Kennishead Road, Darnley.
Macklin Motors, the new name for Toyota sales and servicing in Glasgow.
Valid on services till 30th September. Excludes Motability and fleet customers. One £500 voucher per vehicle purchased by 31st December.
Celtic are 1-1 against Shakhtar Donetsk. We'll be back there keeping you right up to date. But we've got news, breaking news. The Rangers team for tonight against Napoli. We've got both teams and none of the summer signings are in. Mark Guidi, Rangers will line up McGregor, Tavernier, Lundstrom, Goldson, Jack, Stephen Davis, Kent, Sands, Morelos, Barisic and Arfield. A few headlines in there.
Yeah, Paul, Morelos starts the game, and looking at that starting 11, Paul, there's a potential for Rangers to play a 3-4-2-1. They could have Sands, Lundstrom and Goldson as your back three, Alan McGregor in goals. They could have Tavernier and Barisic as your two wide players, Steve Davis and Ryan Jack as your two sitters, and two number 10s, Ryan Kent and Scott Arfield in behind Alfredo Morelos. That is an option, or it could just be his usual back four of your fullbacks, Tavernier and Barisic, with Sands and Goldson. Midfield three, a real solid three of Lundstrom, Steve Davis and Ryan Jack, and a front three of Arfield, Ryan Kent and Alfredo Morelos. But you're right, Paul, not one of Rangers' summer signings starts a game tonight. That's quite interesting in itself.
Peter, surprising, Morelos back in from the start?
I'm surprised at that, I must admit, because as I say, Golak, I don't think he's done anything wrong, and that's not against Morelos, because it's a big game to get into, you know, because you'll probably need something out of this game, you know, after losing. You need to try and win your home games, and listen, he's a goal scorer, we know that, and we're hoping he's up for the fight. That's what we're hoping, and I'm sure the manager's obviously been working with him, and working really hard with him to get that fitness levels up. Because we say he's got a goal in him, you know, in the big occasions he wants to try and do that, and there's no bigger occasion than this to try and keep Rangers in the Champions League, because that's what you've got to try and do, and that's how quickly you can be out it. You know, there's a respect. If you lose 2 games, all of a sudden you are chasing.
And we're just seeing there the pictures from Ibrox as the players come round, and Morella's there just looking. He's not. There's Alan McGregor. We see Glenn Kamara. He is on the bench, but that's the news. Morella's is back from the start, playing tonight for Rangers against Napoli. McGregor, Tavernier, Lundstrom, Goldson, Jack, Davis, Steve Davis, Kent, Sands, Morelos, Barisic and Arfield. And will he play 3 with, as we see the teams coming back out? Peter, is that what you're pointing there?
Yeah,
a substitute?
Maeda's coming on. I'm not sure if it's Habzabanovic.
As you predicted, you said Habzabanovic would probably, he's run his course, he's done well for 45 minutes. Yep, you're right, Peter, you called it. Here and go.
I just thought he'd come on the right hand side because he gives you that legs and that power, and that was a problem for Celtic with Mudryk down this side of the pitch. He's got a lot of pace and you've got to try and keep up with him, and the best way to do that is be on the front foot. And Maeda, we know how hard he works for his teammates, you know, and he's a big plus for a game like this.
You're going to miss nothing here tonight. There's so much. We've got the teams there and the Rangers bench as well. McCrory, Budanakis, the keepers, Yilmaz, Cholak, Matondo, Kamara, Wright, Ben Davies, Sakala, King, Devine, Tillman. None of the summer signings are playing from the start here tonight. It's going to be some game as they kick off. Mark and Peter, with me, Paul Cooney, keeping you up to date as Celtic get into the second half. And Peter, this is a massive 45 minutes for your old club.
Absolutely. And listen, everyone as you get into the Champions League, every one you get in, every half you turn up, it changes so quickly. We say Celtic were dominant for probably 30 minutes. Then Shakhtar had a 15-minute spell who were very, very good and had a couple of opportunities. But yeah, again, Celtic are starting on the front foot. Great chance, great save. Oh,
keeper spilled it.
Maeda was nearly in there. An opportunity.
Shocker from the goalkeeper. I mean, absolute shocker. They spilled that. You know, just take that in. It's a simple meet and drink save. Good to see Jota cutting in on his right foot.
I know.
Right, Peter,
what a good goalkeeper he was.
If you were managing that team, you would be raging. You would be raging. Never mind.
You know me
never
too
mind
well.
how good or bad that was as a kid, and you know I was rotten. I'm easy prey for you. But that was a shocker. That was a shocker from the Shakhtar goalkeeper. But good to see Jota on the left hand side already, as you pointed out. Coming in on his right, what a difference.
Absolutely, and Maeda following in, which he does fantastically well. He doesn't get the credit for that. He's the one guy, anything that drops, he's standing next to the goalkeeper. He doesn't score enough goals, but believe it or not, he's always in areas where you feel as if there's a chance. He had it last week, as you know, in the first start of the second half against Real Madrid. That was another opportunity. He was just a bit unfortunate there. As you say, wasn't the greatest of goalkeeping, but Jota's all of a sudden that shot and target just all of a sudden from that opposite side of the pitch already. Well,
he's back on it. Jota, we didn't really see that in the first half.
The one that surprised me is Kyogo. He was the only one that wasn't moving, and he's usually right on top of the goalkeeper. And if he'd have moved at all, he'd have got a tap in.
Napoli in town for Rangers. The goalkeeper merits. So Kim, Mario Rue, Ramani, Simeone, Zelinski, Politano, the captain Di Lorenzo, Lobotka, and the man that you'd want to see, if you're a Rangers fan and you're hoping that he isn't in form tonight, Kvaratskhelia, which he's superb.
Yeah, Georgian winger, Georgian winger. I think Peter said that he's a bit like Kinkladze. For those of us who remember Georgie Kinkladze at Manchester City, who was a phenomenal talent. Maybe not so great at coming back the way in his defensive duties, Peter, but what a player he was, middle to front.
If you wanted a rest, just give him the ball and he would just take everybody on, but he was a fantastic player, and this young kid was magnificent last week. We've seen, and you've obviously got Simone's son who came on and made his Champions League debut and scored his first touch, and
Anguissa is the other player as well. So look, that's Rangers on later, and we'll tell you about our podcast. But here comes Celtic down the right, ball into the box, looking for a head. It comes away, but it falls to Greg Taylor, and then comes to a Celtic boot there. But Mark, it was a chance for Celtic, but it's cleared.
Yeah, but the good thing, Paul, they've started the second half really well. They're on the front foot. They've put Shakhtar under pressure, but now Shakhtar with Marines fed come up the pitch easily past Greg Taylor. This is going to be intense stuff. There's going to be a lot more goals in this game, Paul.
We're just watching it here in the heart of the Gorbals. It's on BT Sport. Peter, what are you thinking early on? Great chance there for Maeda. Jota did well, but you have to watch at the other end.
Celtic started exactly the way they started the first half. They've had 2 opportunities on goal, but yet again Shakhtar broke quickly there, and it was interesting. Greg Taylor getting back, he's getting forward that much to try and help. You know, he couldn't get back in, and it was Callum McGregor doing that role ever so well, filling into the full back area and clearing up the danger. Now Celtic have got to put back up into Shakhtar's half now.
Sorry, just to point something out, we're talking about goalkeepers. There's Graham Potter's first Chelsea team, and he's dropped Mendy and put Kepa back in the goal. So it's an interesting one. Just the importance of goalkeepers these days. You know, it's not to be.
He's a good
it's
keeper.
It's not a position to be messed with. Only 70 million quid, Peter.
So Mark Guidi, the Goalkeepers Union, and Peter Grant vigorously defending managers everywhere. What about Graham Potter? We're not going to talk about it for long, but Billy Reid, of course, finds himself assistant boss at Chelsea, the ex-Hamilton manager.
Yeah, brilliant. And Billy's gone with Graham Potter everywhere, and you know, he clearly values him, because he wouldn't take him to Chelsea if he didn't believe he had something pretty special to offer. So yeah, delighted to see a Scotsman getting a crack at a massive club. Just hope they're given time to do the job, Paul.
Indeed. Feast of football tonight. The big two from Glasgow. Rangers in action at 8 against Napoli, the team from that great Italian city, much loved of course by the late great Diego Maradona. Celtic in action 5 minutes into the second half. It's 1-1 with Shakhtar Donetsk.
This is what I've been dreaming.
Yep.
Oh, these nights, they were playing these games. This is what we've been dreaming of, the two teams getting through to the Champions League. We want that every season, if that's possible. We want to be greedy on it, because this is a quality you want to be seen coming to Glasgow. So the supporters can go and see the best of it. Celtic fans were dreaming of playing Real Madrid. They've seen it. The likes of Modric and all that were very fortunate. Tony Cruz, and you name them all. You know, so now Celtic got so much praise with their performance last week. Now we've got to turn that to victories. You don't want just to be turning up, you know, and saying, oh, we're in the Champions League. You want to start getting victories and performances. And to be fair, for the first half of this game, Celtic up in another good performance, and a fantastic away performance actually, even though they've been under the cosh for 15-20 minutes of the full game. But as I say, a fantastic away performance, and if they can keep this going and don't lose the game, nobody could complain about the performance yet again.
But you still feel they could come away with a victory, which was your pre-match prediction?
Yeah, I think I said to you, it's going to be a hard game. And if I get for Celtic, how difficult it is, I'm worried about it, because I know what Shakhtar have got at the top end of the field. But I know the way Celtic are playing, the manager's not changed the way he's playing on the front foot, and that surprises teams. Even though they watch them in video, teams still try to play out. They don't go long. They don't have this big 6'4" centre forward that they can go off. So they try and play. And Celtic are very good at winning the ball back. And they've not changed that on this away performance in Europe. And that's fantastic. We've got to give them great credit.
It's 50-50 in possession, 50-50 in the scoreline. And if you're just tuning in on the way home from work, Celtic started with Hart, Juranovic, Jens, Carter, Vickers and Taylor, McGregor, O'Reilly and Hatate, Jota, Kyogo and Haksabanovic, who did well in the first half. Haksabanovic off at half time, and Daisen Maeda coming on. The scorer, Hatate for Celtic in 10 minutes, and then it was Mudryk who equalised just before the half-hour mark. Mark Guidi, Peter Grant, Paul Cooney on the Go Radio Football Show. Mark, what's happening at the moment?
Yeah, booking for Jens there, you know, and deservedly so. He's just taken the Shakhtar player right out of the equation. So yeah, that was a bad one on Zubkov, and Jens just need to be careful. But a good start in the second half from Celtic, Paul. They look comfortable. I'm absolutely certain there's more goals in this second half. Both teams really going for it. You know, they'll take one or two wee risks at the back as well. You know, it's probably one of these ones. I'm not aware of the quality of the bench for Shakhtar, but certainly for Celtic, there's great quality to come off that bench and make a difference if it's needed. Milan
are 2 up now on Dinamo Zagreb, so the goals beginning to come in, but still 1-1 in Warsaw. Peter, it's Celtic a decent start to the second half. I was just thinking about Maeta. Got the chance last week. It was a different chance tonight though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but this is my concern now. Modric, Jens is that booking, and when you're in Europe, they've got flight of foot, these strikers. You know, they're very quick, they're sharp. Modric has got to be clever now, you know, because I know he's a competitive young man, and he's got to be careful, because these boys are looking at you now. They know you're under pressure. They'll start and face you up. They come and try and run at you, so you make an error. And he has to be careful, because Celtic definitely cannot afford to go down a man, that's for sure, because it's hard enough, you know, when you've got everyone on the field. And the manager, I'm sure, has spoken about that all week, because the games are even refereed differently. You know, free kicks we don't see in Scotland, you'll see in Europe. So you have to be very careful with your discipline, but it's very important that you keep everyone on the field.
8 minutes into the second half, it was 9-10 minutes into the first mark that they scored. Would be a great time for Celtic to get a goal number 2.
Yeah, I mean, if Celtic can go 2-1 up, Paul, what you would say is, can you see Shakhtar scoring 2 to go and win 3-2? No. Could they get any goal? Yeah, possibly. So yeah, if Celtic can get the next goal, it could be so important.
We will stop for the news, but you'll miss nothing. We'll keep you right up to date, but it's absolutely right tonight that we keep you up to date with what's happening. Obviously, elsewhere here on the Go Radio Football Show. 1-1, the ball's gone out of play there. For Rangers fans, if you're on the way to the game, enjoy it tonight. 50,000 against the Italian giants, Serie A. And your team, well, none of the summer signings is playing. They're not in the starting lineup. They start with McGregor, Tavernier, Lundstrom, Goldson, Jack. This is how they come out. Stephen Davis, Kent, Sands, Morelos, Barisic and Arfield. And Mark, you think there could be 5 at the back?
Yeah, it's, it's certainly that option there, Paul. And again, Giovanni will have done his homework on Napoli. That'll be to counter their strengths. Because again, as much as you want to go and win your home games, if Rangers can get a point tonight, Ibrox against a quality team like that, I think it's a terrific result for them. So there's flexibility in that starting 11, and 5 of the summer signings are on the bench for Rangers tonight. So if you look at the recruitment policy has been criticised this summer. If you look at it, Yilmaz from Turkey, £4 million, Cholak the striker, Matondo the winger, £2-3 million on the bench, Ben Davies £4 million from Liverpool, and Tillman on loan from Bayern. By the way, all of them really good players, but it's just interesting that Giovanni goes for a starting 11 like that.
Well, Tillman, I think, has done well. I think he's had his moments, I think there's no doubt. Like Kolak or Cholak, nobody could complain about his goal scoring, and his work ethic for the team. So you've got to say they've been a success in that respect. Listen, it's very difficult, and it probably sums up what I've always said. Playing for Celtic and Rangers week in, week out is completely different. The demands it's on you. As you see, a couple of weeks ago, Gio was getting everything, and all of a sudden he's a bad week in the respect of that with results, and all of a sudden he's no good enough. And that's Celtic and Rangers for you, with the players. But the players have got to go and perform, as you say. I think if it's me, because I think the defence is not the strongest, I would definitely play a 3, because they've got a lot of runners to the middle of the field, Napoli, and they've done it very, very well against Liverpool last week.
56 minutes gone, it's still 1-1 in Warsaw. The news is next.
Service your existing car with us right now,
and it's worth £500 off your next car.
Yes, at Macklin Motors Toyota, we'll give you a £500 voucher off any of our brand new Toyotas when you book in for a service with our expert Toyota trained technicians.
We even have complimentary courtesy cars available, so book your service now and get £500 off any new Toyota.
Visit macklinmotors.co.uk or see us at Kennishead Road, Darnley.
Macklin Motors, the new name for Toyota sales and servicing in Glasgow.
Valid on services till 30th September. Excludes Motability and fleet customers. One £500 voucher per vehicle purchased by 31st December.
Go Radio Football Show. Paul Cooney with Macklin Motors, Mark Guidi and Peter Grant's Shakhtar 1, Celtic 1. As Celtic come down the right, Mark, and it's Juranovic trying to get round a player and get the ball played in, but he's just lost out there. The Shved has gone off. Have we missed anything in the last few moments? Jota had a chance just before.
Jota had a chance. He maybe could have played a pass, but he's just kept going on his right foot, ended up too wide an angle. But the positive thing, Paul, is that Celtic's still looking comfortable. Yeah, Shakhtar have got plenty of possession as well, but it's a good, it's an old fashioned like a cup tie, end-to-end stuff. Both teams intent and attacking. Goalkeepers are going to have work to do. I definitely think there'll be at least one more goal, if not 2 in this game. But Celtic more than holding their own against, really, let's not forget, really good opposition.
Enjoyable game, Peter.
Yes, it's very open, and I'm not sure that's the way Celtic like it, because they've usually got it going their own way. And I think at this moment in time, it's a bit, you attack, we'll attack. Celtic have filled back in a little bit now, so they're not going in the front foot, so they're in their own defending third at this moment in time, which is very unusual. And Kyogo's the only one that's further up the pitch. I think they've changed the shape a little bit. I don't know if they've dropped Matt O'Reilly back in now and made it 3 central midfield players. We made it so it's like a more 4-5-1 and breaking from the shape, because then McGregor was going up there. So I think they've balanced it off a little bit, not to give Shakhtar as much space in the gaps to play between. And I think they're trying to shut that down, because, as I say, Shakhtar are getting have taken their front 2 players off now. And I think that's important. That's their first choice, obviously. Strikers, they've both left the field, so hopefully Traore doesn't come on and score.
Exactly, yeah. We're just looking here. We gave you the Rangers lineup a wee while ago. Loads of Rangers fans just on the socials at Go Football Show and giving their predictions. They are confident. I think it's about 50-50, saying that they think they're going to draw tonight, and others think they have to win. A draw would be a huge result for Rangers, wouldn't it?
Yeah, a draw would be a really good result for Rangers, Paul. All things considered, on the back of their last 2 games, they are playing against top class opposition. Let's not forget, they're top of Serie A. Yeah, there's only a handful of games going, but still. So all things considered, I think a draw tonight for Rangers You just want to get your first point on the board. If you can get 3, all the better, but you just want your first point on the board and at least make a fist of it for that third spot. You know, at least try and do something for that.
And Peter, your old team Celtic 1-1 at the moment. Are we going to see Giakoumakis soon?
I think you will. I think they've got that little bit of power. They need that, and maybe be a set play that wins it for them, Paul. You know, that's what they seem to have done. Traore's a big lad. We were talking about 5 minutes ago. They've not really got that 6'3" striker. Well, they have now. You know, so they can go a wee bit more direct, and it's maybe something Celtic do look at. And the manager's very much, great chance there, great save, pushed away. You know, but I think it was Matt Riley who had a shot there for about 25-30 yards. Yeah,
it was a nice left foot. He kind of bend it, try to place it in the goalkeeper's bottom left-hand corner. And to be fair to Trubin's a big lad, 6'3", 6'4", but he was down very, very smartly indeed to his left-hand side. But good for Celtic, they've got Shakhtar pinned back at the moment.
O'Reilly with the effort.
Yeah, it was Matt O'Reilly, 25 yards.
And another chance there for Celtic, just inside the box. Again, it's Matt O'Reilly, right-footed that time, but a bit high and wide. Decent spell.
Yeah, absolutely. And you want to keep them up as far up the pitch as you possibly can. That's what Celtic are doing. You can see the full-backs are pushing in now again, you know, which is very unusual, which is not allowing Shakhtar to lift their head to play that ball forward, which was causing them a problem in the first half. And I think they changed the shape a little bit, so there's no spaces, as I say, between them. Now they're going a little bit longer because of that little bit more physicality they've got up front.
Keeper saw it late, that one, and he had a chance a few moments later, but wasn't such a good one. But
an interesting stat there, Paul, just in goalkeepers' saves this evening in the Shakhtar goal. Trubin has had 7 saves to make on target. Joe Hart, just 1 save to make.
Very good. Peter, you called it right. There's going to be a change, Celtic.
Yeah, Giakoumakis is going. I'm probably Kyogo. I think it'll just be a straight swap. You know, I don't see anything different there, and it gives Shakhtar a different problem. You know, they've got to deal with that physicality. You know, and probably it's the right time. And I think Celtic need that wee bit more of a physical presence. I'd make a couple actually now. Moyes going on as well. You know, it looks as if he's going to make a couple of substitutions. It could be Matt O'Reilly and probably, you know, and Matt's done really well. But or Hatate, because he's one of these ones. He went through that period last year, you know, where he started to retire late in the games. But at this moment in time, he's been very influential with the amount of work he's done without being on the ball as often. But I think maybe you're needing Moy at this period of time because he's more defensive. He's more defensive.
Yeah, he loves a triple change. David
he does,
Turnbull.
Particularly at this level.
He does. Yeah,
he does. So
balls out of place, 66 minutes.
And Giakoumakis. That freshens up in key areas of the team. He'll probably keep McGregor on, and then depending, probably you're right, Hatate and O'Reilly, and then whether it's Jota or Kyogo, because off it's probably going to be Kyogo and put Giakoumakis right through the middle.
Okay, 66 minutes gone in Warsaw. 31,000 are there. 2,000 of them are Celtic fans, and they saw Hatate score in 10 minutes, and then Mudryk equalise after 29 minutes. Celtic making a fist of it. The possession's been about 50-50, but it's the goals that count. And stating the obvious, they showed that last week with 32% possession, but they hammered Leipzig. For Celtic tonight, 1-1, holding their own. You don't want to say too much too soon, Peter.
Yeah, again, it's been a very good performance in the respect to a European performance, and you couldn't complain about it. But the bottom line is you've got to start turning these into victories. You know, these are the games you have to try and win. You know, because as Mark said earlier, you know, you have probably 2 leagues in it. You know, and you want to be in that top of that league, and to do that, if you went away to Shakhtar, as you say, well, obviously it's in Poland, but if you go away there and you get the result, it's a fantastic start, because they've got to come at your place. We know they're a good side. Home or away, these teams can play, you know. But it's great to get the 3 points, and if they can manage to do that, they can't lose it. With the way they've played, they don't want to lose this one and say it was another great performance, but we've lost the game. That's the last thing they want to be doing, what they happened against Real Madrid.
Good build-up a moment ago by Celtic. Could it be Kyogo's last touch of the ball? Here comes the triple sub.
Triple change, 67 minutes on the clock. Aaron Moy is coming on for sure. Georgios Giakoumakis is coming on, and so is David Turnbull. And as we thought it would be, Matt O'Reilly, Hatate certainly coming off, the two of them coming off, and Kyogo as well. So it's just light for light. Paul gives the team a different dimension. And one thing I like about Giakoumakis, if there's a chat, he is a quality finisher. I know Kyogo's a brilliant finisher, but for me, Giakoumakis is every bit as good a finisher. When it comes to it, put him in front of goal, he's capable of scoring some belters.
Every bit as good.
Oh, absolutely. I think he's a different type of striker. But the one thing that he puts me in mind is Giroud. He makes runs to the front, he'll make runs to the back. The defenders are always looking for him. He's always in the move in the box. And we keep saying it, he was a top goal scorer on a team that was relegated. And that is very, very difficult. You know, if you're a top goal scorer on a team that's relegated.
Olivier Giroud still banging them in for AC Milan.
Absolutely, and that's
You nearly had him, didn't you?
Should have had him because when he was at Tours,
could have, should have.
We went to see him.
I know.
Everyone was saying he scored a hat trick that
Celtic.
night. Yeah, he scored a hat trick that night again. But I'd followed him for a long time because I like to watch young players playing or somebody that was scoring goals in the lower divisions in France and whatever. Went to see him. And sure as fate, the night we went to see him with Tony went himself because I couldn't go. Had
Tony
something
Mowbray,
else on him,
yep.
and he scored a hat trick. And Tony was very, very impressed, and we tried to get the deal done. He ended up going to Montpellier. They get promoted as well. They won the league that year, and then he got a move 6 months later to Arsenal for about £9-10 million.
Wow. The voice of Glasgow, Go Radio Football Show with Macklin Motors, and that was Peter Grant, Celtic legend, Mark Guidi, Paul Cooney. 69 minutes gone, Shakhtar won, Celtic won, and the cameras there went on to Matt O'Reilly. Best player for Celtic so far tonight?
Yeah, I thought he's done very well. He's been influential. I think it's more of a team performance. They've all worked exceptionally hard. You know, they've all. You can see the team that they've got a balance to them. They've got a good balance. Some people go unnoticed, like Callum McGregor, as you say, because of the role he does. When people are dropped out of positions, he fills in. Hatate was very influential to Tired later on there. Now they've just made a slight change with Callum going up a little bit and Moy being a little bit deeper out the midfield. You know, so yeah, again, this is the thing. I think Celtic have got a little bit different from anyone else. The standard and the quality of the player going on is not taking a drop.
Look at Giakoumakis. Sorry,
yeah, absolutely.
Look at him jumping in there. He doesn't give up, does he? And that height he's got and the weight, he's used it to good effect. Celtic still in possession, and there's Aaron Moy who's come on, plays it into the box, looking for Dyson Maeda, falls for David Turnbull. Mark, this is you can see Celtic at the beginning now to think get goal number 2.
Yeah, just putting Shakhtar on the back foot. There's Turnbull at the edge of the box, just a couple of yards over the bar. Quite right to have a go. Do you know what I like about Celtic? Even watched them last week, Paul, against the European champions Real Madrid, and then again tonight even more so under Ange Postecoglou. And I think it's maybe Peter will tell me differently how comfortable they are in possession, how many times how long they keep the ball for, how many passes. I remember watching Celtic a number of times in Europe, and it was like a hot potato, Peter. And that's nothing against Celtic, but it just they couldn't quite get to grips with European football. And I'm talking about sometimes even with Brendan's team and Gordon's team and Martin's team sometimes, but the way that they keep the ball, they are all so comfortable with the ball at their feet, and they just creating angles for each other. They're really good to watch in Europe.
Well, I think that's the difference. You know, we didn't even lose that many games at home in Europe, but when you're away from home, you get 1,000 against ordinary sides because you never kept the ball in. Off we played with 2 wingers, and you overran the middle of the pitch. You had 5v2s in the middle of the pitch, and you just felt it was incredible. And that's what it felt like. That's what it felt like. I used to count them at half time and think you had extra players on. You were passing it around you. And it was incredible, actually, you know. And we the 2 wingers stand out, and none of the strikers would drop in. So you had 2 strikers stand out of the pitch, and 2 wingers on the touchline. And then you're wondering, the man you're shouting, you're not getting close enough. You can imagine what we're shouting back to him.
Back to tonight, Celtic under a wee bit of pressure now. They've dominated the last 15 minutes or so.
You know, that is
72
there, Paul.
minutes.
That's the famous right back, Sirna. And he's the sporting director there. What a player he was.
Was he?
Attacking fullback. Oh, he's a Ukraine or Croatian
captain.
Captain.
You play against
for
him?
many. He was like Manny Calts of people. Danny McGrange. All these. He was that sort of attacking fullback. Well, he's a sporting director there now at Shakhtar.
It's a good outfit for Celtic, though, Mark. What do you reckon? 72 minutes.
Listen, the game's there for Celtic.
Yeah.
The game is absolutely there for Celtic to go and get 3 points. A point would be a good result, but you know, on the balance of play, if Celtic don't win tonight, well, at least a point, or if they happen to lose it, I think Ange Postecoglou will be really disappointed if Celtic don't take the 3 points tonight, because it's there for them.
Rangers fans will be hoping not to hear too much about Kvaratskhelia as Celtic come forward. Chance into the box. It's Jota beats 1, beats 2. It's Jota beats 3. It goes past the post. It's going to be a corner kick for Celtic. Wow!
What a chance for Jota there. And again, should he have played a pass?
I think it should have went down.
Yeah,
I think it should have went down. It's a penalty kick.
Yeah.
He dances by him, the boy lifts his foot, and he does brilliant. But he could have got a penalty kick as well, but it was fantastic skill.
Jota, immense.
Oh, you know, and he nicks the ball. You know, Shakhtar, as we say, they're willing to try and play it out for the back. You can just go and nick it if you get your press right, the timing right. They've nicked the ball there, and Jota, he's had a couple of chances. But like we say, great encouragement for Celtic. 18 minutes to go. 18 minutes to go. Let's see what happens here with the corner kick. They've tested the keeper a few times. He comes in with a great reputation, the 21-year-old, but not having his best game tonight. But here comes the corner kick, right to the near post, but it's headed away.
but it falls for Callum McGregor. The captain plays it left-footed to Aaron Moy, who came on about 10 minutes ago. Highly rated, isn't he? Highly experienced.
Yeah, but the thing I find strange there, you've got Giakoumakis, you've brought height on, and you went with a right-footer outswinger. Yeah. Put it under the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper's not handled the ball, he's punching everything. Put it under the bar, make him defend it, and we put in a poor corner. You know, you've worked so hard to get into that position. I just think it's a small detail that the manager would be disappointed at, you know.
Because at this level, you need to take every opportunity. A corner kick with, 17 minutes to go.
You need to Celtic find that out last week, albeit Shakhtar's not at the same level as Real Madrid, but there's a chance. It's just kind of falling, is it? He's just losing his balance. If he just kind of played that across, there's two of them at the back post, and you can see the reaction of Ange Postecoglou. He's normally not animated, but there you can see it, hands in the head. He knows that was a big opportunity to go and win the game.
Bondarenko is going off because he was booked, wasn't he, earlier on? So they're making a change there for Donetsk. Peter, I know you've got your eye on that.
I've not seen Joe Hart. I've not seen Joe Hart for about 10 minutes.
Absolutely, and great credit to Celtic, and that's what I'm saying. It'll be such a disappointment for them if they don't take these points, at least a point out the game. But they'll think it's a point they've given away in the respect of that, if that's the way it ends, because they've played so well for an away performance, for a big away performance, and that's what the manager will be disappointed at. Even though they've played well, he'll still be disappointed they've not been able, with the opportunities they've managed to carve out.
Neven Jurasek has gone off there, so Celtic will need to watch here. Aaron Moy conceding a free kick for a foul on Sudakov. So we'll just see the replay of this. So Celtic need to watch. That's the tackle there. Shouldn't be in such a dangerous area for Celtic, Peter, or should it? Should they be concerned about this? 15 minutes to go.
No, it's just lucky because of where he's taking it. And as we say, if you're going to give a free kick, it's not that bad. That's the area of the pitch to give it away. It's not too bad. But it just shows you that Celtic are still trying to play on the front foot.
And they're showing the Jota attack again, beats one, beats two, gets round a third, and did he just run out of steam?
Yeah, listen, it's hard for him to look out, lift his head at that moment. But he's got Maeda and he's got Giakoumakis unmarked, just 6 yards away from him. But they don't want to take, because he did well. But it's one of those ones again at that level. When you're getting opportunities like that, you've got to put them away if you want to win games. 76 minutes gone. If you're Rangers fans and you're just tuning in as well on the way to the game, just under 45 minutes to go. He's getting treatment there as we look back in Warsaw. So I'll give you the Rangers team if you're just in the car. And Mark, we reckon it'll be the two wing backs as expected, but you think there might be three? I think it's a possibility of a back three. I wouldn't be surprised if Rangers go with a back three tonight, Paul. A 3-4-2-1. Alan McGregor back in goals. A back three of Goldson, Sands and Lundstrom joining them in there. Two holding midfielders, Steve Davis and Ryan Jack. Your two wing backs, Borna Barisic and James Tavernier, and two number 10s, Ryan Kent and Scott Arfield in behind Alfredo Morelos, who starts tonight. 4 changes from the team that lost 4-0 in Amsterdam last week.
And that's his first start, Morelos, in a long time, isn't it?
Oh, it'll be 6 months.
Exactly.
March, I think. March.
That's right.
6 months.
But that's why you'll need energy. You'll need energy alongside them. You'll need bodies to go up next to them. They can't isolate them, because if you do that, Napoli will tear you apart, because they're very good in possession of the ball. They'll make you run all night, and that's why they'll need people round about Morelos. That's why it's such a big call, because the one thing you say about Colak, he worked very, very hard for the team. So if Alfredo Morelos is not willing to put that work ethic in, or is not fit enough to do that because he's been out for so long, he needs to have bodies right about him, whether that's wing backs or the two number 10s getting close to him. But they will definitely need support round about him.
I saw him smiling when we saw pictures earlier when Celtic were at half time. And Colak was smiling, but part of him must be saying, why am I dropped?
Yeah, absolutely. But listen, that's football. You want to play in every game, and you'll be very disappointed if you're any player. You want to play every match, and especially these big games, big occasions. This is what these players have been looking forward to.
We're going to take a quick break as they make a substitution, and then we're back. It's still 1-1. There's 12 minutes to go.
The Go Radio Football Show with MacklinMotors.com, representing some of the biggest motoring manufacturers across Scotland.
Let's go!
Let's go here on the Go Radio Football Show. Shakhtar Donetsk 1, Celtic 1, 10 minutes remaining in Warsaw. We're with Macklin Motors, Peter Grant and Mark Guidi. Peter, we haven't missed anything in the last 2 minutes. It's 10 minutes to go for Celtic. And actually, they're on the attack down the left. The ball played out. Cross from Greg Taylor. It's looking for the head of Giakoumakis. Plays it down. A chance there for Celtic from Dyson Maeda. But he plays it just past the post, Peter.
Well, exactly what we said about Giakoumakis. He picks up good areas in the box. Celtic get a cross in, he's nodded it back into the danger area. Maida's just not connected with. Well, he has. He's connected with actually better, and it's hit off the defender. So Celtic get a corner kick.
Corner kick's going to be taken by David Turnbull on the near side. Giakoumakis is up there. Here comes the ball to the far post. Falls. Has it fallen? Not too much. Jota thought he might get it, Mark, but no.
Again, you know, you can see the reaction of the manager, Ange Postecoglou, just for that one. You know, fair play to Maeda. He did connect, but it's deflected away. I think tonight, Paul, you know, it's one of those ones where Celtic could look back at this and it's 2 points dropped. This result could actually come back to haunt them at the end of the section. This is a game, and by the way, they could still go and win it. 10 minutes to go, wouldn't rule them out getting a winner. But if it does end up one each tonight, I think it's 2 points dropped rather than a point gained on the balance of play.
9 minutes though, Peter. A lot could happen. And here comes Celtic forward again, looking through to Maeda. Keeper's off his line quickly and clears.
Yeah, but that's what Maeda gives you. He's got that power and that strength and the pace he's got to in behind. It was just unfortunate. It was good goalkeeping, the young goalkeeper. He's read it well and he's went out and cleared his box. But listen, these are very, very difficult games. You know, you're into these games, you think you're dominating, but you know they've got that quality that they can hurt you. You know that, and you're never out of the game. And Celtic, for, as I say, big periods of the game have been the better side, you know, but Shakhtar have had their moments. But if you remember, just before half time, we were thinking to ourselves, well, Celtic need to get themselves back in because Shakhtar are taking over. Celtic started the second half very well. I think their substitutions again now have given a wee bit of a lift again because it's given a little bit more energy. But this game's still swinging. It could go anyway.
Could go anyway, but you're still holding on for. You said 2-1.
Yeah, but as I say, that's your hope at times because you know they're capable of it the way they play. But they've put in a very, very good performance. But Shakhtar have got players, you know, that can hurt you, and that's why you're never sitting comfortable because you know you can have domination. And we say at this level, you make one error, one mistake, and you can be punished, especially with the quality that's on the field.
He never stops. That's what they say. You know, Celtic, that was the mantra last season. And do you stick or do you twist, Mark? I know
they're going for it. Yep. They're going for it, Paul. Yep. They're going for a winner, and rightly so. I'm so surprised there's not been a goal in the second half because both teams, to be fair to them, have had a goal. I think credit to both teams regardless of what the outcome is tonight. I think both of them have put on a really good show, particularly Celtic being the away team, albeit it's a neutral venue. But you know, listen, it's a good point for Celtic, but it's one of those ones you think, whoa, the 3 points were there for the taking.
So many chances. I mean, we'll talk about it in a few moments because anything could happen. There's 7 minutes remaining in Warsaw. Shakhtar 1, Celtic 1. They've had so many attempts at goal, but we said it before, and it's not about possession, it's about the goals, because Shakhtar showed last week against RB a 4-1 win for them. Rangers will be in action at 8 tonight. We'll talk about that before we go at the end of this. Milan are 3-1 up in Dynamo Zagreb, so looks a good win for them at home. As here come Shakhtar, Mark. Chance, but it's well deflected there. It was well blocked by Greg Taylor.
Yeah, you know, good defender, but here we go. It's just it's a warning sign from Shakhtar. They'll know as well. Their thoughts will be if they can win tonight, get that winning goal, 6 points out of 6, 2 games, they'll be absolutely delighted. So I think they'll push for it as well. I don't know. I think we're going to get a winning goal. I've just got a feeling we're going to get a winning goal from somebody.
Well, we're not if Maurice Jens defends like that because he was so casual at the back there and he lost possession, and that is the moments. You know, you lose possession, you lose that little bit of concentration, it can cost you dearly, and it nearly did. You know, he's very, very fortunate, and he can't take the chances. And I said to you before, when he was a young kid, he's got the moments in him, you know, that slackness and that competitiveness of being a good defender at the most important times. And he made a mistake again there. He's got to be careful because he will be punished at this level with that.
85 minutes watch here. Could be a chance for Celtic. Jota out on the left. He's got Greg Taylor in the overlap. Plays it into Aaron Moy. Moy checks back, plays it back out to the Portuguese star, to Jota. Jota, he's got a player on him. He's just taking his time looking for options. It'll probably be Greg Taylor, you'd imagine, or Callum McGregor on the overlap. He plays it to Taylor. Taylor fires it into Giakoumakis. Giakoumakis left-footed, just past the post, and that was a chance for the Greek striker. He's got his hands on his head.
Well, you can tell he's disappointed. It looks close from here, and obviously looking at his reaction, it must be really close. I'd expect him to score. I must admit, I'd expect him to score. He's hit it ever so well. It's just not come round. But I'd expect him to hit the target fair. He's only 13, 14 yards out. Oh,
got to score.
Yeah, he's got to score.
And there again, hands in the heads from the manager. That's 3 excellent opportunities in the second half, and so unlike Giakoumakis because he always hits the target. So unlike him, it is literally half a yard. It's half a yard wide, but oh, it's a small margins. What a chance to go and win the game. You'll probably not get a better chance tonight than that, Paul, to score a winning goal.
And what a winning goal that would have been for Celtic and for him. He came on, Peter, you predicted it, came on, that could be his moment. Could he still do something with 4 minutes remaining plus stoppage?
He has got that in him, you know. We've said that it's not dropped Celtic, and that's the big thing they have. When they bring the substitutes on, it doesn't drop the performance, it gives them something different. That's what it does. It doesn't drop, it's different types of players, but it gives them something different. It doesn't lose the energy. Obviously, Giakoumakis is different for Kyogo, you know, all that sort of stuff. But at this period in the game, he's created 2 opportunities and he's had a big chance himself. There's Jota going off now for Abada. So that's an interesting one, because Jota had such a big influence in the second half, especially when he played more on the left-hand side. I know people go back to that argument, but he had much more influence on the game, creative-wise, in the second half than he did the first, even though he'd done a job for the team in the first half.
The fresh legs of Abada, and he's been in fire this season, hasn't he?
Oh yes, and he wants to score goals. He's one of these young players you're told about, young wide players, getting at the back post, try and get an opportunity, and he does that fantastically well. He's got a desire to score a goal, and for someone so young, he's got a great understanding of his position.
Joint top scorer, 6 goals along with Furuhashi. Here comes Celtic, 2.5 minutes remaining, right-footed ball to the far post. Maeda goes up there, it's gone out, it's going to be a corner. Mark, you thought
it was a corner? I did, yeah. 2 of them went up with Maeda at the back post. I genuinely thought that was a corner kick. The Celtic players did too. But again, you know, I've seen Joe Hart once in about 15 minutes. Celtic, they've had so many good chances, Paul, and the Giakoumakis one just 2 minutes ago, you know, 13-14 yards from goal. It should have been a winner.
You've got to hit the target. I know it's easy from here, but you'd be looking.
The only thing I can give him, he's not a natural left footer, you know, and I think that's the only thing you can say. But he's leant back in it. But I think he's actually tried to guide it. I don't think he needed to guide it. I think he could have just driven it, smack it, you know. And but I think he's actually tried to use the player and bend it round him, and he's just bent it round the post. But I think he should just smashed it, and the goal was open. As I say, he was only 12-13 yards out. 2
minutes remaining. Shakhtar 1, Celtic 1. Ibrox Rangers kick off in 30 minutes against Napoli as Shakhtar come forward, but Mark, that should be easily picked up, and it will be by Greg Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, and I have to say, you know, your Greg Taylors, your Juranovic, Callum McGregor's changed his position in the last 15 minutes. The energy of these boys, you've really got to compliment them.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and listen, they've all done as a team. I think that's the one thing Celtic would say there. They've got good individuals, obviously, but the biggest thing is the team ethic. I think the organisation, the way the manager's got them organised, they all know their role within the team. It doesn't change much. The manager's been true to his word that he's not going to change the way he wants to play. He's going to play on that front foot, and they can maybe get bit in the backside a couple of times. Oh,
Celtic come again, a chance for Celtic.
What a chance.
And Maeda in the box again. He just couldn't get to it. Stretching, Peter, it's gone wide.
What a pass, you know. But yeah, again, a great desire to get in the box. Moyes' great pass down to Ivanovic down the right-hand side. It cuts inside and puts a fantastic ball across.
He's got to score. Oh, that's a better chance than Giakoumakis. To have 2 chances like that in the space of 5 minutes, and again, they've not even managed to hit the target, force the goalkeeper into a save. Oh my goodness, Celtic should have won this game comfortably tonight.
That was the opportunity of the night, Peter.
Well, that was it. That was game over. You don't see Shakhtar coming back from that. But as you say, these are the things you look back at and you think, if only, you know, if only. And I don't want that to be the case, you know, because that could be the difference again through the next round. That's the simple, because you expect Real Madrid to come and win in most places, home or away, you know, so you're taking that for granted. So you want to be that one that's going to be next at the Leipzigs and going to Shakhtar and getting a victory. It'd be fantastic, because you know, coming to Celtic Park, you're capable of anything there. But as I say, this will be one that's got away from them. 5
minutes of added time as we head for the 90.
And Paul, you know, winning a game and drawing a game is worth a couple of £1 million and prize money. As you say, it could be the difference between staying in Europe or getting into the last 60 or not. Those kind of chances are worth millions and millions of pounds.
Here's Greg Taylor. Good ball through for Maeda, but it's going to be, too much on it. It goes out. That was inventive. I mean, look at the last 5 minutes last night. Great for Sporting Lisbon. Terrible for Tottenham. Celtic, this could be good news with 5 minutes to go. That's the 90 minutes have come and gone. And Celtic had 2 brilliant chances in the last 3 minutes.
Well, you would say that's probably his weakest part of his game. He's got everything else. He works so hard for the team. He's such a team player. You know, he does fantastically well, but his finishing is not magnificent. And he'd done that last week, as you remember, against Real Madrid as well. You know, he had a big opportunity at the start of the second half. I just hope this one doesn't come back to bite us, you know. Now, with the chance he missed last week, and then all of a sudden Real Madrid went up and scored. You know, so you're hoping that they can see this out. You've got to defend properly for this last few minutes, and hopefully you're going to get one other chance.
And if they score, or if that had gone in, Mark, it would be a rare Celtic win
away from
Europe, away from home.
Yeah, you know, particularly in the Champions League. You know, Celtic have had lots of European football since the past 20 years. You know, European final, etc., etc. Last 16 a couple of times under Gordon Strachan. But yeah, they don't win away from home very often. And but tonight, Paul, they've worked hard. Shakhtar haven't given them on a plate. Celtic have worked well tonight. Really performed as a unit. Still a chance to go and get a winning goal, but you know, I think that Celtic should have won this game comfortably tonight. Two excellent chances. Jota's carved one or two openings as well, but for Maeda and Giakoumakis, both fairly fresh, both substitutes. It's not like they're tired. You've got to score at that. You've got to score when those opportunities are
biggest
presented
problem
to
is
you.
I think both of them came to their wrong or their weaker foot. I know they shouldn't have them at that level, you know, but it both came to their weaker sides. But it's interesting you're talking about European performances. When Tony was a manager, I think we won for the first time in how many years in Russia? Remember, we won in Russia, and that was the first away victory. It was something like 12 years or something, and I couldn't believe it, because you can consider the amount of good teams that came prior to that, you know. It was quite interesting. It shows you how difficult it is to win away in Europe.
3 minutes remaining of the added 5. Celtic are 1-1 with Shakhtar as Carter Vickers comes forward, tries to get something moving. Could Abada's name be on this, Mark? But they need to watch, because here's the counter offensive from Donetsk. But they are forced back into their own. Take the point. You would say.
And by the way, you know, if you to switch it, Paul, and Celtic run the cost away, Shakhtar have been. You would be absolutely. I think Shakhtar will be delighted with a point tonight in the balance of play. 4
points from the opening 2 games. Nobody would have expected that from them. Celtic have played really well tonight. Let's see out the last 2.5 minutes, Peter.
But that's the difference, you know. They go to Leipzig and they win away from home, so it comes a massive result. They'll look at the point. They'd have thought this had been 3 points, and they thought maybe Leipzig getting a point away, they'd have obtained that before the start. But all of a sudden they've swung that round. They'll be disappointed that they're not taking up another 3 to make it 6 again. That are made it near impossible for Celtic or Leipzig. You know, with the amount of games that's coming up, because they're going to take points off each other, I believe. You know. And I just think that's the difference now. Shakhtar will be looking at it now. They'll just be disappointed with their performance, because they know they've got out of jail with the amount of chances Celtic have created. As I said, they had a 15-20 minute spell where you were thinking, oh, this could be tough here, you know. But then Celtic will be the one that's going to be disappointed, I think. But they'll look upon it as 2 points dropped.
They rode the storm. They had some gilt-edged chances near the end. Giakoumakis, Maeda, and the cameras there are on Jota, who there was a few moments of brilliance there, broke into the box, beat 3 players, but kind of ran out of puff. But earlier, Mark, he had a great chance when he could have laid it off, and the manager felt that as well, actually sitting on the ground, as we see.
It's like what might have been looked, isn't it? What might have been looked, but there's still time. But oh goodness, it was there tonight. It was there for them. There's
a bit of cramp there with one of the Ukrainian players who's just taking his time now. He'll have to go off, but that's taken an extra minute, so we could still have 2.5 to 3 minutes, Peter. Still a chance for Celtic.
Well, it's interesting looking at the Celtic bench. It all just looks to be disappointment. You know, that's what it looks like, you know. And I think when they look at it in the cold light, there's a chance missed. That's what they'll be looking at. There'll be big disappointment, not in the performance, just the fact that the amount of chances they created and didn't take. I think that'll be the manager couldn't ask for much more from the players, you know, apart from obviously the victory. But with the chances they created, they have to take them.
Biggest soundbite from Ange Postecoglou last Tuesday evening, Paul, we've learned tonight you need to take your chances. What have they not managed to do tonight? They've taken 1, but 2 golden ones to go and win the game. They've not taken them again. That's the difference between sitting 3 points tonight and only sitting with 1.
I think you've nailed it, Mark. That was the headline. You need to take your chances, but it's 1-1, and I think you would stick on that rather than twist, because there's 1 minute remaining, plus he'll have added on a minute and a half there, if the ref does. They usually have to add on something because of the that delay there a moment or two ago. The cameras there are on the manager, Ange Postecoglou, and he's desperate to put his mark on European football. He's done it at home. They're talking about him for Brighton. He's not gone there, Peter, is he? We'll talk about that in a no, that's it. There's no chance.
No, not in the same league. Listen, I'd be very surprised. And I don't mean that, you know, not being in the Premier League, but not in the same league.
6 minutes. We're into the 6th minute now because of that stoppage. As well, up at the halfway line, it's Shakhtar. They're coming forward. They've got 3 against. There's 5 at the Celtic in the Celtic defence. They're coming forward down the right, Mark. Celtic have to watch this. He's lining up to try to play, but it's going to go out of play. Surely it does. It's gone out of play, and that could be the last act. We've played 5.5 minutes. That could have been dangerous. It could have been the sucker punch.
Yeah, just do the final kick of the ball there, probably, especially with Mudryk trying to get on the end of it. Undoubtedly Shakhtar's most talented player in terms of offensively. Paul, I think looks like it's going to finish 1-1. First of all, it's the first point in the board, which is so important. Gets you up and running, point away from home, all positives. The most frustrating thing will be Celtic should have won the game. They should have won this game by a couple of goals and deserved to win by a couple of goals.
That's the full-time whistle has gone. Shakhtar Donetsk won, Celtic won. They're now giving it as an own goal, but it was Hatate in our estimation, as Celtic had a chance just near the end.
Cleared off the line, cleared off the line. Jackie Mackie's header cleared off the line.
Incredible, but as I say, that's the big disappointment, that they've not managed to get the 3 points, and that's the soul destroying thing for the manager, because they've worked so hard and deserved to get the 3 points against a very good side.
How did that not go in, Mark?
It's just been maybe Celtic's luck. It gets in the end of it, the goalkeeper makes a hash of it, he gets the end of it, but unfortunately for Celtic, the Shakhtar defender followed it in to clear it off the line. But Celtic in the balance of play should have won this game so comfortably.
Peter, your final thoughts on this one before we turn to Rangers, just before we go. What do you feel? 1-1 at the end.
The one that got away, Paul, and I hope it doesn't come back at the end and bite us, that's for sure. And as you say, that's what you always look for. You needed that. If you'd have got a result tonight, what a fantastic... Because if you'd have went and played Real Madrid and Shakhtar and you'd attained 3 points from that, you'd have probably been delighted, because you'd been saying to yourself, a home game against Real Madrid, people are not expecting much. Shakhtar away, it's going to be tough. If you'd attained 3 points away for that, Celtic would have been delighted with the 3 points on the board after the first 2 games. But tonight they'll be very disappointed, not with their performance, just with the result.
And Leipzig will be tough, but Celtic know they should have the measure of them, of the Germans. Again, Paul, very tough side. And I'll listen. I think they had 30%, 70% possession last week. We know they've got good players. We know they've got electric and cuckoo, as you call them. Electric up front, scores goals for fun. And they'll not put in a performance they did last week. And don't get me wrong, they never done much wrong. They were always attacking when they conceded. So it'll be really exciting. It's a very, very tough game, Leipzig as well. Rangers coming up next. Mark, look into that, your prediction then. It's going to be tough for Rangers, but we gave you the lineup. None of the summer signings are on, but Morelos is in.
Morelos starts the game. I think Rangers will go with a back 3. Paul and McGregor back in the team tonight as well. 4 changes from the starting lineup in Amsterdam. Tough game for Rangers. Potentially the toughest game that they'll face out the 6 in the Champions League. I think Napoli will win the game, Paul. I think Napoli will win at Ibrox 2-1.
Let's hope that's not the case, of course. Peter, for you, Rangers tonight, Napoli in town.
Listen, I always say when you're playing Celtic or Rangers, especially at home, that gives you something different, and the fans will be desperate to get a performance, and they'll go there to lift the support, to lift the players, and they can up in a performance. And it wouldn't surprise me if Rangers get a result. It wouldn't surprise me, because that's what Celtic and Rangers have always been built on, bringing results out of somewhere that they weren't expected, and I'm hoping for that tonight.
That's how it finished. 1-1, Shakhtar 1, Celtic 1. We'll be back tomorrow night on the programme, and we'll talk about Rangers then. We'll talk more Rangers on the special podcast later, and also we'll talk about Celtic's draw with Peter Grant and Mark Guidi in our special podcast with Steen, and that will be available shortly. We'll go over the highlights tonight, and it's been some night, so go to the Go Radio Football Show podcast, sign up for that and enjoy that programme. Good luck to Rangers, and we will be back very soon.
The Go Radio Football Show with MacklinMotors.com, representing some of the biggest motoring manufacturers across Scotland.
Let's go! Service your existing car with us right now,
and it's worth £500 off your next car.
Yes, at Macklin Motors Toyota, we'll give you a £500 voucher off any of our brand new Toyotas when you book in for a service with our expert Toyota trained technicians.
We even have complimentary courtesy cars available, so book your service now and get £500 off any new Toyota.
Visit macklinmotors.co.uk or see us at Kennishead Road, Darnley.
Macklin Motors, the new name for Toyota sales and servicing in Glasgow.
Valid on services till 30th September. Excludes Motability and fleet customers. One £500 voucher per vehicle purchased by 31st December.
As one of Scotland's leading mechanical and electrical contractors, Steen delivers a wide range of mechanical, electrical, plumbing, heating and renewable solutions for your home or business. Our specialist team provides our clients with the highest quality service and installations, giving them peace of mind and confidence to return in the future. So, for all your mechanical and electrical projects, regardless of size or complexity, make Steen your partner of choice. For more information, visit steenelectricalsolutions.co.uk.
Euro Nights from the Go Radio Football Show with Steen. Home Check, providing peace of mind for your home with multi-service care plans.
So we're just minutes after the full-time whistle has gone in Warsaw. Celtic drawing 1-1. But Peter, the fact that Celtic will be disappointed to come away with only a draw after playing so well tonight.
Absolutely, I thought they were excellent. It's as good as Celtic's performance I've seen away from home for a long time. They were on the front foot, they created chances. They had, as I said, they had a 15-minute spell they had to ride, and they'd done that very well. And they started the game very well. They started the second half very well. And I think that's always important at that level, because if you give the foothold to the opposition, who are very good and comfortable in possession, you can get a bit of a chasing. But Celtic handled everything. And the amount of chances they've had tonight, you had enough chances to win 2 games. You know, and that'll be the disappointment thing for the manager. You know, different players missing them, you know, and just things going across the goal, you know, you're just thinking that, go on, bounced it that way, and didn't do that for them tonight. And that was something they needed. But as I say, they'll come away 2 points drop for me.
Mark, given Celtic's poor away form in Europe in recent years, when you just look at the result, you might say, well, that's pretty decent for Celtic.
It's a great result, Paul. You know, all things considered, they've played a team tonight away from home that won 4-1 in Leipzig last week, and we could see that they're a really good team. And there's no doubt about that. Shakhtar Donetsk are a good team, but Celtic made them look ordinary tonight. Celtic deserve a lot of credit. The only frustration is they didn't take their chances. Giakoumakis and Maeda have had outstanding chances to score in the second half, chances that you've got to take at that level. And I'm sure that the Ange Postecoglou's overriding feeling at the end of 90 minutes is it's 2 points dropped, not a point gained. That said, there's a point on the board and they're up and running.
Yeah, they will be happier, won't they, Peter, with, despite the fact they're at home, to get the point after the way the game went.
Well, you think about it, Leipzig, Shakhtar would have probably been delighted if you'd have said to them, you'll have 4 points after the first 2 games. One away from home in Leipzig, and then at home, you'd be expecting to beat Celtic. They were expected to beat Celtic. The supporters were expected to beat Celtic at home. They've seen how good Celtic are, and that's great credit to the manager. He's given the players that belief, and the players been able to carry out it, because it's all like the manager telling you and bumming you up in the press and telling everybody how good you are and you're going to be on the front foot. They've got to go out and perform that. They've done everything right, but apart from take the chances that came along. He'll be delighted at it, but deep down in his gut, he'll be so disappointed, because that was an opportunity to take 3 points for an away game in Europe. That's very, very difficult to do.
This is our Euro Nights podcast special looking at Celtic with Steen. It finished Celtic 1-1 against Shakhtar, played in Poland. Our colleague John Hartson, who joins us here on Go, said afterwards there on BT Sport, a point isn't a bad result for Celtic, but it would be frustrating given the amount of chances Celtic created in the match, especially in the second half. Mark, would you agree?
Yeah, I think we've said that in the studio, Peter, myself, yourself, Paul. We've said that absolutely tonight. That is the story of the 90 minutes. Now what Celtic have to make sure moving forward, Paul, they've got Leipzig back to back, and then they've got Shakhtar. So they've got 3 games that's going to define them. Anything the Bernabeu in the last game at the start of November will be a bonus. They must beat Shakhtar. If they don't beat Shakhtar, I don't see them finishing in second place. So they must beat Shakhtar, and they've got to take 4 points from 6 at least from Leipzig. So therefore you're looking at Celtic, I'm saying looking towards 8 points. Well, 8 points will give them a chance of finishing runners up. It will certainly guarantee them 3rd place. So in order to get 2nd place, the fact that they've not won tonight, they'll have to take 6 points off of Leipzig, I would imagine. Can they beat Leipzig home and away? That's a big order. But Celtic on course to get 8 points, which might just get you into 2nd spot. 8 points out of 12 if you take it to the mini group. There's 12 points up for grabs between the 3 teams. 8 points from 12 is really good going.
The amount of chances they've had tonight, that's the big disappointment, because you may not get that in any of the other games. The amount of chances they've had tonight, there's no getting away from that, you know, and that's probably the thing. Maeda got back to Real Madrid last week, just before Real Madrid at 0-0. Could you imagine Celtic Park? You go 1-0 up, and score that goal, the fans are going crazy anyway. You know, but at that particular time, that momentum, then it's just about concentration. But Real Madrid have to play slightly different, you know, because they have to come and score. You know, whereas when they scored their goal, all of a sudden they take control. Celtic tonight lost a little bit of control, and that's what really impressed me. They lost a little bit of control for about 15 minutes, but then regained it, but kept creating opportunities. And when you look at the chances, they look big at the time, but then when you watch them even in the replays, they're even bigger chances than we thought. You know, the only disappointment thing is for both boys, I'll give them a, not at this level, you're probably not giving them that credit. Both of them were on their left foot, you know, which is not their natural finishing foot. But it's chances that they still should attain, especially the last two, you know, there's no doubt of that.
Going back to 6:15 then at kick-off, the news was, well, one change from the lineup in recent weeks. Haksabanovic came in for Abada. Mark, when you look back on it, what do you feel about that switch?
Well, it worked because he got his assist, Paul, for the goal. He put in a good shift for 45 minutes. Probably the way that Celtic play, that they're relentless, it's high energy. Considering he's just joined the group a couple of weeks ago, that 45 minutes at that level tonight away from home is probably as good as what you'd expect from him. And then you're taking him off and you're bringing on Maeda, and Peter called it half an hour into the game. Maeda coming on to help out defensively, to help Juranovic, allowing Jota to move from the right side, which is not his best side, over to the left wing. And look at the difference in Jota with that change. So Haksabanovic worked, Paul. He got an assist for Celtic's opening goal, which gave them something to hold on to and work off.
Well, even the substitution, Mudryk, you never heard of him in the second half. You know, and that tells you enough, and that shows you the manager's thinking. Even though they're playing well, he's not sucked into just watching the game and think, oh, we're doing well here. He has to see that he's playing against a very good side who can cause you problems. You know, Mudryk was causing problems, but he adjusted to fix that, and then still created chances themselves, which was so important. And they'll be so disappointed. They'll be so disappointed coming away. I can imagine that plane coming back, because I know it would be in my head.
They'll be deflated, Peter.
Absolutely, they will be
deflated tonight.
And that's interesting. You're saying that in a away performance, that you're deflated coming away with a point from it against a good side.
And Peter, in 10 minutes though, you were far from deflated. Haksabanovic, you mentioned, with the assist, and there was Rio Hatate to get the goal. Take us back to that moment.
Well, it was great because we've seen it. It was like a tackle. Juranovic has put in, but the ball's ended up going out to him, and he's attacked right away. He's thinking, I'm going to go at the full back here. But Celtic had 5 bodies forward against 2, and that shows you that's very unusual. You're a wee bit more coy, start the game, make sure you're getting settled into the game. But Celtic had 5v2, you know, and it was great play. He gets a great run. Hatate breaks himself into the box, and obviously gets they're saying a deflection, but there's a slight deflection. But Kulgo was clever as well. He was not like a normal striker who'd have tried to toe poke over the line, but he was concerned in case he was offside. So it was a great start for Celtic. And yeah, again, after that, they created a couple other chances as well, you know, so they will be very, very disappointed. As I say, it's unusual that they're playing coming back, you know, for away performance, and you're deflated, you know, against a very tough opposition.
They're giving it to Bondarenko. They changed their mind, UEFA, during it. They went over to Hatate, then they came back to
Hatate.
He's giving it to Hatate.
Yeah, it's Hatate's goal. Definitely give the attacking player the goal.
And then 6 minutes later, remember, Kyogo came close, could have been 2-0.
Yeah, he slid in, you know, the goalkeeper. You know, they certainly take a couple of chances at the back, as most teams do nowadays. Trubin had a couple of good saves tonight. It'll be interesting to see the goalkeeping stats. I think he's had maybe 10 saves to make. Joe Hart's had 2 to make. So that tells you the story of the 90 minutes as well, Paul. But I can just imagine Celtic in that dressing room just now. You could see the pictures of the game. Ange Postecoglou 4 times during the second half, hands in his head, with just not with disappointment, just with like he knows that you've got to take the chances at that level. But look, the positive, it's a point on the board. It's something to build on. Celtic are in the hunt now. They've got that first one on the board, which is always the most difficult.
You two are on the plane already. I'm trying to take us through the plane. Okay, I get it. They're gutted on the plane, but on the podcast, people in the taxis and all the rest are listening. They know the score by now, of course. It's fascinating. You're right. You can hear it. I mean, everyone listening, the frustration. Celtic should have been back on that plane with the 3 points. 28 minutes in, remember Matt O'Reilly, remember the chance. Taylor played it to him. Keeper saved.
With a left footer and a right footer, Matt, you know. But Celtic were in the ascendancy, you know, and they were creating chances. And the thing I like about this team, they don't play a pass for the sake of passing it across or square. They look to pass forward quickly.
Purpose.
You know, they play with that purpose. They've always got runners. We've spoke about before. Kyogo stretching the opposition by playing behind them in that slightly offside position, giving you that half a yard, and he's quick enough to get himself back onside, and it allows that space for the midfielders to go in possession. Then they've got the players that get in the box who want to score. O'Reilly wants to score. Hatate wants to score. You know, Haksabanovic, obviously, once he gets fitter, he can play anywhere in that sort of front line.
You like the look at him?
Yeah, he's strong, he's physical. He's probably a typical team player. He looks more like that built. He's got that physicality, but he's got talent. I mean, I seen that against Real Madrid last week. I thought he was excellent. You know, he gave them a right hard time. You know, the keeper had to make a couple of good saves for him last week, even in the small period of time he was on. But as I say, we created chances, we made big opportunities, but then Shakhtar just slowly came in it for about 10 minutes.
Before we get to that, so 1 minute after that chance for O'Reilly, Mudryk, the other end of the pitch, Mudryk scores.
Yeah.
He took it really, really well. You've looked at it a few times, Mark. What about Joe Hart?
I think Joe Hart, being the quality goalkeeper that is, will be disappointed with it. Look, from the point of contact, you know, credit to Shakhtar. First of all, Celtic defensively, they're split open in between Carter Vickers and Juranovic. He takes a good first touch, gets on his left foot. Now, there's probably only from where he strikes the ball to where Joe Hart's standing, there's probably only 6 yards between the two of them. So maybe been a wee bit in Joe Hart. If he stands, Paul, it hits him flush in the coop. That's what it hits him. But he's maybe trying to anticipate it. He's going down a bit, thinking it's going to go to his left. Look, in another night, he's probably saving it. I think I maybe am being a wee bit overly critical. But again, at that level, if you want to go and win games, that's the kind of saves that you need to pull off.
Half time, it was 1-1 then. Probably against the run of play, but they had a decent spell. And then they made a switch at half time, hacked Sabanovic off, and on came Dyson Maeda. And a bit like last week, Peter, he had a chance in the first few minutes.
Absolutely. But that was to help out defensively. But you know he's got the legs to go the other way. He worked so hard for the team, you know. And you've never seen Mudryk the second half, and that's great credit to him, where he still had a couple of opportunities himself. He got in at the box, the one that came off the goalkeeper, he was first in, and we say that about him. Probably the finishing is his weakest part of his game, because everything else he does for the team. And if he works as hard and the way he works and how quick he is and how strong he is, and he scored the goals every chance he got, he probably wouldn't have been in Glasgow.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And he's only 24.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, but he's got such a willingness to work. But the two of them that come on, Giakoumakis and him, both come on, and you know they're a goal threat. Giakoumakis is the one you're disappointed. Maeda's, are you expecting him to score? No. But Giakoumakis, yeah. And they're the difference when you bring on the substitutions. But yet again, the manager's made the right call at the right time to freshen the team up, and that kept the team on the front foot, and it never allowed Shakhtar to get a grip of the game in the second half. And I never think they had that period in the second half that they did in the first.
I think one thing as well, you know, you mentioned, Paul, about, you know, the link that there's been for the past few days now with Ange Postecoglou going to Brighton. Peter says it's not going to happen, and I agree with him. But performances like tonight, okay, you see it's 1-1, but if you analyse the performance and you look at it, Ange Postecoglou's stock's only going to go up. It's just going to keep going up and up and up when he's producing performances like that. And as Peter says as well, the confidence and belief that he instills into that team, and that the players believe in what they've been told by the manager, because they clearly carry out the instructions to the letter. They get everything right tonight, but I've just missed a couple of sitters. And I know that's the most important part of the game, but taking those two chances out of it, you've got to give enormous credit, Peter, to Celtic for how they performed tonight.
It's as good a away performance as I've seen for a long time. You know, there's absolutely no doubt that they were on the front foot, they were comfortable in possession. I keep saying that at the highest level, if you can't maintain the ball and retain the ball at important periods, and I think that's what they've done very well, because for that 10-15 minute period I thought Shakhtar were going to take over, and that's what usually does happen. Once they've got their foothold in it, they start to play, but Celtic then grabbed the game back again, and it's very unusual you do that. Once you let it go, it's very difficult to get it back, and I thought they'd done that exceptionally well.
This is Go Radio, our special Euro Nights podcast with Steen, in the company of Peter Grant, the former Celtic star, Mark Guidi, the president, ex-president of the Football Writers, and Paul Cooney here as well. And the big two, I know there was a bit of
he's a goalie. He said he was a goalie.
Yeah.
I know the line after that is where we can't repeat it in the podcast.
That was a bit of chat earlier on, having a disagreement actually about Alan McGregor, and there'll be the Rangers podcast as well. We'll talk to you about that later. I'm going to tell you player of the match. Who's your player of the match? It's a Celtic player.
Whoa,
who would you give? I'm going to give you the UEFA one.
As I say, I thought McGregor, again, done very well.
Callum McGregor.
You know, you get seen that.
Okay.
I would. Do you know what? I would go Jota.
You're kidding, yeah?
No.
I'm only saying you're kidding because it is Jota. Sorry, in case somebody thinks I'm going to go Jota.
Listen, as soon as a striker gets a couple of shots in target, you can guarantee he's getting it. They forget all the work that gets done with the defenders, the goalkeeper and the midfielders. The strikers always get the plaudits.
AC Milan 3-1 win over Dynamo Zagreb. Celtic drawing 1-1. on the night. Right, so the triple substitution, and from then on, just looking at the notes and looking, you had Jota had a chance, he could have passed it. That's what I'd written at the time, Mark. This was in 56 minutes. Shved went off, and that was probably good news, just in case he came back to bite his old club.
Well, he had a chance. He had a chance, and Joe had a good save from him, so he had that opportunity. He's improved. He's a young man at Celtic. We understand that. And the expectation that if you're not playing week in, week out is very, very difficult, especially if you're a front player. If you're only getting picked every so often to show your skills, it's not easy. Because people are saying, he's not scored in 10 games, but he's probably maybe had, if you put all the minutes together, he's probably had 2 games. Sure. So it's very difficult. So thankfully, he never come back to haunt us.
67 minutes. It's a big number in Celtic history, of course. So the manager made a triple substitution. O'Reilly went off, Aaron Moy came on, Kyogo replaced by Giakoumakis, and Hatate replaced by Turnbull. And you wondered if the big Greek striker would have, his moment. And it came so close. Turnbull had an effort just high and wide. Remember that one, Mark?
Yeah, right foot shot about 20 yards. Yep, just over the crossbar. But that was nothing compared to the chances for the other couple of lads. Jota,
immense. He beats 3, and remember the corner. Could he have shot? What do you think?
Well, I think on the second skip, it could have been easy to get down because the boys lunged in at him. And he's jumped because he thinks he's got an opportunity to score, and he stayed on his feet. But if he went down, it had definitely could have been a penalty kick, and should have been a penalty kick if that would have happened. But as I say, I thought he was much more effectual as in being hitting the target and being a goal threat in the second half. But he'd done a very, very good job for the team in the first half, playing in the right hand side, because he played more like a right side midfield player.
And then into the last 10 minutes of normal time, Mark, and you've got, which one do you want to take? Maeda shot, remember it was blocked. Giakoumakis turns, swivels, shoots left-footed, just wide, but missed the target.
I think Giakoumakis is a wonderful finisher. If you've got to give him a wee bit of leeway, the fact it did fall onto his left foot, but you expect him to score because he's such a good finisher. I would expect him to score that. He's only half a yard of target, right enough, but I just thought it's one that he should have been putting away, and those are the chances. That's why I think, without fast forwarding to the plane journey home,
you'll be on the plane soon, I can assure you.
Well, hopefully I don't miss it.
As the trolley's coming down the aisle and you're getting served your food, they'll be thinking, oh God, we've got a point tonight, but it should have been 3.
You too. We're in the Gorbals. We're not in Poland. Okay, this is coming from. I know it's a special broadcast, but we're doing it from Glasgow. Then 4 minutes to go in normal time. On comes Abada for man of the match, Jota, and could he have a part to play? And but it was Maeda who had another chance, Peter. 89 minutes.
Yeah, he slid in. He's done fantastically well. He burst in the box, he got away from the defender, and he slides in at the back post. I think Giakoumakis was a bigger chance than Maeda's. I think Maeda's stretching. You would still hope he's going to. A natural striker maybe gets there, if you understand what I'm trying to say with that. But I think he was desperate to get in there and get that goal from last week. But that's the one that got away. Giakoumakis, for me, being a natural striker, a natural finisher, I'd expect him to bury that opportunity.
And then Giakoumakis off the line right at the end, Mark. 6 minutes into added time, and it could so easily have been that 2-1 win.
Yeah, it was a header. He's been brave. The goalkeeper's coming in. He's kind of made a hash of it. The goalkeeper, but indecisive. Giakoumakis has stood his ground, and it was just unfortunate for him that Bonbar just followed it in, just covered his goalkeeper's tracks and managed to clear it off the line. That I would say that was more of a lucky one. All credit to Giakoumakis for being brave, but the Maeda chance and the Giakoumakis chance, those were the two what you describe as golden chances to take the 3 points tonight.
So next stop in the Champions League, obviously Celtic in action at the weekend at St Mirren. Talk about that in a moment or two, because they've been on a roll, but they lost against Real Madrid. They've drawn tonight against Shakhtar. And next stop in Europe for them, it's a trip to Germany, Peter, and RB Leipzig, October the 5th.
Very tough game. Leipzig are a very good side. And listen, Shakhtar had an unbelievable performance. Counter-attacking. Leipzig had a lot of the ball, a lot of opportunities. I watched the game. They had a lot of opportunities, never tamed them. Very similar to Celtic. They never tamed them. All of a sudden, they were done three times, I think it was, on the counter-attack. Deep in their own area half. Shakhtar done them. They're getting into a game. The manager knows he's going into a very, very tough game against Leipzig. They're a very good side with a lot of young energy, which that's what the club's built on. And as I say, every game Celtic playing in this competition is going to be very, very tough, and they'll have to be at their best. The big disappointment, as you say, and the manager said it before, you have to take your chances and you have to concentrate and not give up silly chances. And if you look at the goal against Shakhtar tonight, I think Carter Vickers came hunting for the ball and he didn't need to come out, left a big space. Now all of a sudden there's a massive gap, and when someone's got the pace of him, and it's the first time you've seen somebody run away for Juranovic, and it left him with 5-6 yards.
You don't often see that.
You don't often see that, and that is the difference at this level. If you make the mistake at this level and you make that judgment of coming out of positions you're not supposed to come out of, and that big gap's there, and then we're saying Joe should have done better. I genuinely, because it's Joe Hart, he should have done better. If it's another goalkeeper, you think, oh well, whatever. But because of Joe Hart and because of how good he's been, I think Joe should have done better for the goal, and I think he'll be disappointed with it.
Leipzig, that's 3 weeks away, Mark.
Yeah. We've got the round of games this week, and then we'll get the international break, and then we'll go away from home. Then Celtic, the good thing, back-to-back home games. Leipzig and then Shakhtar and Paul. Celtic will be looking to take 6 points from those games, and rightly so. And if they can, if Celtic can take 6 points from those two games, they're more than likely they'll stay in Europe, whether that's in the Champions League or in the Europa League. They'll be in Europe after Christmas.
And at the weekend, Peter, it's too early probably to start thinking about that, but they've got such a strong bench. They're unbeaten. In fact, they've got maximum points in the Premiership. How important is that for them to keep a momentum going to feed into Europe as well? Well,
this is going to be the big difference now, because Celtic have had the week to prepare. Now it's having these quick turnover of games, and that's going to be all the way now. How you keep the players fit, how do you freshen up, what team do you start with? All these things are the things that manager, you don't get a lot of time on the training pitch, and that's where the manager's been very fortunate, and deservedly so, because that's the benefit you get by being successful. You get that opportunity to get straight in. So you're hoping that they come through it stronger. You hope that all the players are going to be available, and you hope nobody gets injured when they go in international duty, which is always a concern. When international duty comes on, you've got 3 games this time in international duty. Yep. So there's a lot of players involved in that.
Ukraine,
absolutely,
home and away,
absolutely.
And then Republic of Ireland. People like Tony Ralston must be desperate for game time. His attitude is, what do you think of it, Mark? Remarkable.
Yeah, it's good, because he'll obviously think that last season for long spells he showed that he's good enough to be a Celtic first team player. It's just unfortunate for Anthony Ralston. He's up against a real top class operator, and Juranovic, who's spoken about being a £15 million player during the summer with various teams looking at him from down south and in the La Liga. Yeah, but Ralston might get game time for Scotland. Nathan Patterson's doing well at Everton. I'd imagine he'll probably start his first choice right back for those games if he's fitting well. But yeah, Ralston, I think it just typifies what's going on at Celtic at the moment. Paul, it's a squad. It's a squad that's together. There's 22 players of that with the manager and the management. And if you don't have a togetherness, you don't produce performances like you did back-to-back in the Champions League in the past 8 days.
And Peter, just to reaffirm, you reckon, still some of the headlines today was the top choice for Brighton is going to be Ange Postecoglou. But everyone is saying surely he's not going to go there. He's in the Champions League and he's building something special at Celtic.
Listen, financially, you've got much more at Brighton. There's absolutely no doubt. That's the only thing. You're managing in the Premier League. But if you're talking about clubs, they're not even the same planet. And that's not been disrespectful at Brighton. That's fact. He's lauded here. The supporters love him here. And he's like, don't get me wrong, he's their most important player. He's their most valuable player as a manager, at this moment in time, because everything he's turned around. Your big players are always wanted, and we've said that many, many times. The more you do better, your people are wanting to look at your staff, or you want to look at your players. And we've seen that. We've seen it with Rangers when they lost their players, in the summer there. So the manager's the exact same, but I'm sure there'll be much bigger fish for him to fry, if he wants to go anywhere else. It'll not necessarily need to be Brighton.
Mark?
Yeah, I agree. I think that Ange Postecoglou is going to have people chasing him. I think there'll be significant interest in him in the summertime, no doubt, if Celtic go and keep a hold of the title again. If his teams keep producing performances like that in Europe, yeah, he's destined for down south, La Liga. I think wherever he wants to go, he'll have an opportunity to go. It depends what he wants to do with Celtic. He clearly enjoys it here. His family love it here. He has a total respect and admiration of the club and the fans. I don't think he's motivated by money, but money is a factor, and Peter's right. He could go and treble his wages away down. What Celtic should do, if they've not already done it, and something might have been done in private that we're not aware of yet, but what they should do is go and get him a Brendan Rodgers contract, so when somebody comes in from Celtic are getting £9-10 million compensation. Graham Potter just left Brighton for Chelsea, £25 million in compensation for him and his backroom staff. So Celtic should go and look at that.
It was only on £2 million by all accounts.
So
but
go and tie him up.
25 million for him, and you get 2
and
million.
his staff. So go and tie him up, Paul. That's as Peter says, he is the biggest asset at the football club, the most important man at the football club, the biggest asset. He's shown again tonight. He is a quality manager. He's not a flash in the pan. He is a proper manager, and Celtic will do well to hold on to him.
And you've got to remember, it's not just that Celtic has been successful. People forget that. You know, when they look about him, he's been an international manager. He's dealt with different types of players, different type of languages in different countries.
J-League.
Absolutely. So he's had a lot of learning. You know, a lot of learnings went into the years worked in World Cups. You know, so he's no mug, you know, in the respect of that. So he's earned what he's getting now in the respect of that. And to come to the club like Celtic and turn it the way he has done is remarkable. But also the way he handles himself. I think that's what that'll be important for people as well. The way he handles himself in front of the camera, the way he answers the questions. He's not flustered when somebody's as if he's looking, I better not say this, I better not say that. He's honest with his appraisal of everything he tries to do. And he thoroughly deserves it. As I say, he's the most important player at the football club at this moment in time, and there's no getting away from that. And whatever football club you're always at, they're always wanting your best asset.
There's also as well another thing that he's got in his CV, Paul, that doesn't do him any harm when people look. He's been part of the City Group, and you don't get to work for the City Group unless you've got something pretty special about you, and he's got that in his CV too.
Absolutely. And listen, you know, the way he plays, he's exciting. His teams are exciting. The way they brought the players in and managed to bring them together after a difficult start, you know, when it would be easy to capitulate because of the pressure you're under. But all these boys coming in, there's not one of them been a disappointment for him. You know, there's not one, and that's great credit to him.
I see some of the sources. UEFA gave it to Jota as player of the match. Greg Taylor was given by some of the outlets who said Greg Taylor. So, but your abiding memory will be the night where they should have got a
the
win.
One that got away.
One that got away. Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. Hope it doesn't come back to haunt them when everything's been assessed in November the 2nd after the game in the Bernabeu away to Real Madrid. But the credit, the plus point, Paul, that can take from it is they can go and win games in Europe. Celtic, on that kind of performance tonight, if they're more clinical, Celtic can win their next 3 games. And I know that might sound fanciful, but Celtic, on that kind of thing, Celtic can, as well within their capabilities, to go and win their next 3 games.
So they'd have 10 points and they would.
That was second place, guaranteed.
But nobody will look forward to playing them. That's for sure. You know, maybe a bit tentative in many years going past, especially when you're away from home. That team don't look like that. They don't look tentative going away. They expect to go away there and use it as a home ground. They usually go away there and be on the front foot and maybe catch them out at times, as we say, and it happened tonight with the goal. But that's the way the manager's decided to do it. Play with a different way, with no fear, and he's trying to put that into his players. And if they can carry that out, you've just got, as I say, the big thing is, one, the manager knows you have to take your chances and you have to be concentrated, not to give up opportunities.
So if we let the two of you on the plane now, what would you do if you were the manager? Because look, they've drawn, they have taken a point in the Champions League. What do you do, Peter? I've been lucky enough with both sides of the old firm to fly with them back. The mood tonight, what do you do if you're the manager? Do you just...
You go in there and you show your face is tripping you as if we should have done better.
Do you?
You know, you give it that bit, because that's what I think they're looking at now. They're disappointed, and that's the thing now. For Celtic to go away to a very difficult place and be disappointed, and I think you've got to show that, because that shows you we're starting to grow a little bit. You know, we're growing a little bit. Listen, we expect more. We're not happy with that point, and the manager will want to show that in front of everybody else. Should be telling the players how well they've done, of course, but that's the way you've got to look upon it, and that's being the actor, as they say, when you're being the manager. That's what you've got to try and show.
When you think about it, away from home in the Champions League, not being in the Champions League for 4 years, and you're absolutely gutted at not winning away from home in game number 2. That does tell you just how far they've managed to come along in the past few years in such a short. Again, Paul, if you look at the backstory in a short space of time, 15 months ago where Celtic were, and look at them now.
It would be a small red wine for yourself, gentlemen of the press. There, is that what you would have?
Yeah. On the way back. Normally the cab would be at the airport, but I'd have a beer, Paul, a nice cold beer on the flight. Yeah, that would be nice.
Doors to manual. This has been the Euro Nights, the special podcast. Thank you for joining us. There are more to come in these special Euro Nights with our friends at Steen. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Paul.
And Peter.
Pleasure.
That's it from us. Celtic drew 1-1.
As one of Scotland's leading mechanical and electrical contractors, Steen delivers a wide range of mechanical, electrical, plumbing, heating and renewable solutions for your home or business. Our specialist team provides our clients with the highest quality service and installations, giving them peace of mind and confidence to return in the future. So, for all your mechanical and electrical projects, regardless of size or complexity, make Steen your partner of choice. For more information, visit steenelectricalsolutions.co.uk.
Euro Nights from the Go Radio Football Show with Steen, specialist provider of mechanical, electrical, plumbing, heating and renewable solutions.
So we're just 2 minutes after full time. We're with Chris Burke, Barry Ferguson. And Barry, can you believe it ended up 3-0? Looking at the scoreline, it's not a reflection of how Rangers played.
No, to be honest with you, it's night and day, obviously, with the performance last week in Amsterdam. I thought they showed a lot of grit, determination, a real togetherness, and there was a real good spirit about it. And I thought they went toe-to-toe with a very, very good Napoli team.
Chris, it was so different from last week in Amsterdam. What did you feel for certainly the first 60 minutes?
Yeah, I totally agree with Barry, and I think everybody would agree the exact same with what I'm saying and what Barry's saying and what you're saying, Paul. I thought Rangers showed real character, fight, desire, everything that was asked from them. Obviously, they've had 2 defeats before the game tonight. They had to show some fight in that game against Napoli, a team that just beat Liverpool, and Liverpool very convincingly. So it was really, really unfair. I thought it was harsh, but the Champions League is just unforgiving, and it showed that in the last 2 goals anyway.
Well, thanks for joining us, both of you, here on this special Euro Nights podcast with Steen. And, at the beginning of October, we'll be back at the Radisson Red with Steen. And on that night, on the Tuesday, it's going to be Liverpool against Rangers. And then the following night, RB Leipzig against Celtic. But tonight, there's so much to talk about in the next 25 to 30 minutes or so. When you heard the teams, Barry, what did you make of it? We knew the keeper would be back in, Alan McGregor, and we're going to talk about how well he played. Double penalty save. But also Morella's in from the start.
Yeah, there was a good shout. Obviously, what's happened over the last 2 or 3 weeks with Morelos, you've seen Gio doing a few interviews saying that his attitude and his fitness levels are starting to get up to scratch. But what I noticed with the team tonight, no new signings in the starting 11.
Not one.
I don't like using the word old guard, but he went back to bringing Ryan Jack, Stephen Davis, Scott Arfield, and it was near enough the same team as last year in the Europa League run. So I thought they acquitted themselves really well against a team in Napoli's quality. We all seen the result. Barker just mentioned it last week against Liverpool. They were exceptional. And tonight, I think they can. Nobody likes getting beat. Let's get that straight. But I thought the performance was positive, and they can take that going forward. But the team selection tonight, I thought he got it spot on. I thought the first 45 minutes, Rangers were right in the game. Morelos had a chance in the first, I think, 30 seconds, where he just get caught under it. But overall, I've got to say, from the last 2 games against Celtic and Ajax, where they've come in for a lot of criticism, and rightly so, I thought tonight they can come away for that game with at least positives. But the downside is obviously getting beat at home 3-0.
Of course. And there's 2 narratives. You can say that's 3 defeats in a row. First time since 2006. 11 goals conceded, no goals for. But on the other hand, if you looked at the first half, Chris, Rangers probably had the better of it. I'm looking at the Tavernier cross. Morelos, as Barry just mentioned, in 30 seconds could have been a goal. Sure, Zielinski smashed the post just a few moments later. Morelos had that chance just before half-time, a miss-hit. How do you see it? How Rangers performed overall in the face of the criticism that will come at 3 defeats on the bounce?
Yeah, but I wouldn't look at it in that way, Paul. And I hope the intelligent Rangers fans won't see that. I think they can see there's a huge difference in this game tonight than there was the past 2, if I'm honest with you. I thought the first half, as Barry said, and you said, probably the first 60 minutes was was really, really good from Rangers. And Morelos, and Barry said it there, the team selection was spot on. I think Arfield plays really well with Morelos. He links the play really well. And there was just a moment just before half-time where, the cross comes in for Ken. Arfield, what a layoff. And Morelos just has that little snapshot and just misses it. And if he just used his instep, it could have been in the back of the net. You go in at 1-0. And obviously he has a great chance right at the beginning with that header from a cross from Tavernier. And I thought Napoli really struggled with crosses, if I'm honest with you. I think there was a time just before the penalty goal that Golson had a header, if you looked at it, right across the face, and you're just waiting for somebody to just put that in the back of the net. And goals change games, and especially at Ibrox, we've seen them when they go a goal up in European ties, that the fans just give extra energy even more. And Morelos is involved in the good and the bad, isn't he? He's just, whatever it is, he just seems to bring life to the team. And I thought it was a great included in the team at the beginning of this game. And hopefully we see more of him now. And hopefully that's the end of the Morelos drama with him and Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, because he's so important to the Rangers squad, and he will be in the Champions League run, and also for the league title as well, and the cup competitions.
And I know you're not blaming the manager there, because that was down to the player, wasn't it? He let the Rangers fans down and his teammates.
Of course, the thing is with Morelos, you don't want to take that little dark side away from him, if you're honest. It's hard, isn't it? He's got that little edge in him, and you want to keep that edge, but at the same time you want to make sure he's got good discipline, and he's there for his teammates. Because I've been in changing rooms before where you get that player that just lets you down time and time again, but he's got that maverick in him, and he can always just turn the game, and he nearly did it tonight. Maybe it was a few games, if he had a few games under his belt before tonight, he would have put that header in. And Rangers go a goal up against Napoli at home, and we all know what the fans are like, and the team, and the good tactical announced by Giovanni Van Bronckhorst that they would have got through the game. But goals change games, in the Champions League, teams will hurt you, and it's what they do in both boxes, and it hurt them tonight and Rangers box, unfortunately.
Barry, what were you feeling then at half-time at 0-0? And, of course, there were a couple of great Alan McGregor saves, especially from just before half-time. He had a brilliant stop. Were you thinking, right, keep it going like this, 0-0?
Well, I can tell we are feeling a lot happier than the last two games.
Of course, it's all over.
Yeah, but look, I was interested to see how they would react to the last two games, and listen, it was a positive reaction for me. That's what I wanted. It was a performance full of desire, spirit, hunger. I felt there was a real togetherness with the team tonight. Whether that was down to team selection or no, as I had mentioned, he's left out obviously all his new signings in the summer. But I was feeling positive, and Burkie's right, goals and mistakes or penalty decisions change games, and unfortunately for Sands, when I watched it a second time, it was a penalty. There's no doubt in my mind.
Wasn't he, Barry? He was so lucky, the player Simeone, because he didn't take a great touch, and it's unfortunate. It's through the legs of Sands, and they've just
he's caught.
Down.
Yep. Again, it's one of the ones. It's just a bit of luck you need. You're going through a bit of a barn spell in terms of performances. Performances aren't great, and results certainly have not been great over the last couple of games. And the luck's just going against them. But again, I'll go back to that before that penalty kick decision. The performance, you can sense it. Burkie will tell you when you're playing at Ibrox, the fans know when you're playing well.
Yeah.
They get right behind you. The noise was absolute electric. And they need to continue this into Saturday against Dundee United.
And what about that moment, or those moments, the penalty, first time round?
I was laughing. Yeah. Look, I'm not surprised. I ain't surprised that he saved the two penalties, and the third one, he was unlucky. He actually got a hand to the third penalty. But listen, I think he showed tonight. Look, I don't want to have a go at John McLaughlin. I rate John McLaughlin. I've always said that. I think he's a very good goalkeeper. But you're talking about Alan McGregor here. For me, He's a top-class goalkeeper. Burkie will tell you the same probably. Burkie's played with him as well. He's top class, and it was shown tonight, not just with the penalty saves. He made a number of good saves, and I just think he brings a real calmness to the back four as well, or the back five, where it was at times tonight, before the sending off.
He does, Chris. He had that great save from Kvaratskhelia not long before that, and there I said it, Kvaratskhelia, what a player he is. But he does exude such confidence, the keeper, doesn't he? The Alan McGregor, and he was making a difference. So when they got the goal down to 10 men, and it looked as though Rangers would hold on, it might have equalised. I'm just looking at some of the headlines. That was a killer to get the double jeopardy penalty. Leon King came on for Ryan Jack. Another good sign, Chris, for young Leon King, 18 years old.
I know, incredible. It's excellent to see that when you see a player at that age coming on, and obviously coming on against Ajax as well. So he's getting some Champions League experience now, and he'll only benefit from that. I would just like to see him maybe get a few starts in the league campaign and then build on that. But it's great to see for him. He'll be absolutely buzzing tonight. I'm sure he won't be getting any sleep, albeit the result's not what we were looking for and what he was looking for. But I'm sure he'll be learning from great experience in that changing room, and I'm sure he can impress the manager as time goes on, and we can see more of him.
So the Politano penalty goal, there's no dispute, was there? It did come off the arm of Barisic. Barry, is that how you saw it? He couldn't get his arm.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Well, I think it's a harsh penalty, but listen, that's the rules.
Sure.
It's the rules. With
it's
the
a harsh rule, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a harsh rule, but it's the rules, and it's got to be given as a penalty. I mean, the pace that the boy hits it, and when it's slowed down, you've got the benefit to watch a replay. His arm, Barisic's arm is up, and it's in the rule book. It's a penalty.
I think they were saying it in commentary as well, but I just still think that Barisic could maybe get a little bit closer, maybe take half a step towards him before he hits the shot. And maybe, I know it's difficult nowadays for defenders when it does hit your arm. You can see them now, the way their body shape is when they go to block a shot. It's different from it was 5-10 years ago. When 5-10 years ago you could turn your back a little bit and use your arm. If it hit it just intentionally, then you wouldn't get the penalty. But now they're having to go straight on to the player that's hitting the shot with their body shape and put their hands behind their back, which is so difficult. So that means
it's so unnatural, Burkie.
I know.
I mean, you have to think about natural positions. We go out and you're putting your hands behind your back. I don't like to see that. And
I know.
Unfortunately, that's the modern day game.
It must be harder for defenders now to defend and block a shot, because they don't know how to block the shot now. They have to block the shot differently from what they did 10 years ago or 5 years ago, because the rules changed that much. And I agree with you, Barry. It's so hard. It's harsh because it's just hit off him. It's actually hit off his elbow, I think.
Yeah.
And you know the pace. You know the pace that the power that these players produce in a shot. And it's only a couple of yards away. And I don't know how defenders can get their arms away when it's 2 yards and it's blasted at them. It's impossible at times. But again, it's harsh. I think it's a harsh penalty. But Paul, it's in the rules that if the arm is raised, it's a penalty.
And then 5 minutes to go.
Sorry, Paul.
5 minutes to go. Still just one goal in it. And then Raspadori, the sub, comes on, scores. And then into injury time, and then Ndombele gets the goal. I know Kamara get caught out there. What happens at times like that, Chris? Is it tiredness? Is it the confidence of the Italians by this point?
I think it's probably confidence with the Italians. They have nothing to lose if they lose a goal. I think obviously the substitutes as well, they want to go on and impress, so they're still going to be pressing with intent to try and impress a manager or get a goal or get an assist. It's not as if the same players were on the pitch where they could just sit back, allow Rangers to play it about at the back, and then just get the 2-0 win. Obviously Kamara's get caught on the ball. I think Barry will be able to tell us more about that because he's a central midfielder, but that's what happens at this level. In the Champions League, what I noticed when I played in the Champions League, and Barry will probably tell you, is, they run off the back of you and you think you have more time than you do, and you don't. they're just on it, a second, 2 seconds quicker than what is usually happens. You've seen it a few times with Barisic getting caught on it, coming from behind. And I think Kamara just got caught in the cold. You just come on as a substitute. You get substitutions of Napoli that are wanting to impress. And he was the one, unfortunately, that get punished in that. Sometimes that happens at league level and you don't get punished, but in the Champions League, they kill you for it.
I see Connor Goldson come out and spoke to BT Sport afterwards. We might catch that in a moment or two. Barry, if you were Giovanni, what would you be saying to the players in the dressing room at the moment after that performance?
Well, it's tough, Paul, after a 3-0 defeat. There's no doubt about it, but you've got to try and take as many positives out of the game as you can. And I mentioned all the things at the start when we started speaking. There was a real spirit about them. They get close to Napoli. Look, Napoli knew they were in a game. Last week against Ajax, they were 3-4 yards off Ajax. And when you stand off, Burkill just mentioned it there in Champions League, when you sit off very good players and you give them 3 or 4 yards space, they're going to hurt you. And they get close to Napoli, and Napoli had to step it up at times. So look, he'll try to be as positive as possible. 3 defeats in the space of 10 days, 2 4-0s and a 3-0. But tonight, at least we've seen a real desire to respond to 2 bad results against Celtic and Ajax. And I thought there was some decent play. I thought Stephen Davis in the middle of the park was exceptional. 37 years of age, man, he's a credit to the game. I thought he was immense in the middle of the park. Scotty Arfield, Burke mentioned him. I rate Scotty Arfield so much. He's a really intelligent footballer. He's a dying breed of the midfielders that makes he runs off central midfielders. Alan McGregor again. But I thought overall, defensively, they were really solid. Going forward, they created some chances. So you've got to try and take as many positives. And it's going to be a tough game on Saturday when Dundee United come to Ibrox, because there's only a couple of days rest in between. But look, I'm sure that they'll bounce back and they'll get that win they badly need after 3 tough results.
Chris, just listening to a bit of Connor Goldson there interview. We're just speaking on this special podcast with Steen, the Euro Knights. Rangers losing 3-0 tonight, but it was 1-0. They were down to 10 men. Connor Goldson said that. He said, although we were down to 10 men, we still had a goal. We thought we were in with a chance. And you can understand it because they played so well for so long. What do they do now for this weekend? It's a massive game, isn't it? 4 Rangers given 3 games, 3 defeats, 11 goals against. But yeah, how do you think they will react and get themselves ready for Dundee United?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm delighted that Kilmarnock aren't playing Rangers at Ibrox on Saturday. Because if I'm a Dundee United player and I'm a manager, whoever's taking the Dundee United team, then I'm just thinking, oh no, because it's going to click sooner or later. They're going to be hurting. And I know for a fact they're going to be coming out firing. And like Barry said, they showed that desire and hunger and fight. And they showed a real togetherness tonight. And I think they'll just carry that on into Saturday, if I'm honest with you. But I think it's probably some teams going to take a bit of a scalping. And it might be the game on Saturday against Dundee United, because I would be very, very worried if I was Kilmarnock side going to Ibrox on Saturday at 3 o'clock.
And Barry, would you
I tell you, I would do, Paul. I would wrap that starting 11 in cotton wool and making sure they're rested and recovered. And I would put the same starting 11 out in Saturday, because I was really impressed with that starting 11. I thought Gio picked the correct team tonight, and that was proven up until obviously they scored the penalty.
Yeah,
that's exactly what I was going to ask you then. Chris, I was going to throw that to you. You wouldn't change the team for Saturday, would you? If everyone's okay, fit, go for it.
Not at all. Not at all. I wouldn't change the team at all. I thought they were terrific. I just think the performance was there. Obviously, the result wasn't. And remember, you're playing against a top quality team in Napoli. 3-0 is not a reflection of how they performed, in my opinion. And I think Giovanni Van Bronckhorst has showed great character. in the times that have been hard for Rangers, and I think he'll do the exact same, and he'll be a great leader. He's been a great leader in the past as well. So I think he'll be showing great character and leadership, as well as that starting 11 that started tonight.
Yeah, Group A, Napoli then after 2 games on 6 points, +6 goal difference. Liverpool on 3 points after that win last night against Ajax. Ajax in third spot, also on 3 points. And Rangers, 7 goals down, no points just yet. But it's Liverpool next, Barry. But there is the international break, and then Anfield. It's going to be a special night, isn't it, October the 4th? But I know what you're going to say. It's a wee bit far away just now.
No, listen. I mean, what a game. What a game to play in. It's a double header.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
The first one's at
Anfield,
Anfield.
then back up to Ibrox, yeah.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I watched Liverpool last night. You've got, for me, the best centre-back in the world, Van Dijk. I know he came in for a bit of criticism last week with his performance at Napoli, but you've got players like that, Thiago in the middle of the pitch. I could watch him all day long. Brilliant player to play against. But these are the games that, as a footballer, you want to play in. And you're going down to Anfield, Liverpool. I know they've had a sticky start in terms of their league season, and obviously that bad defeat last week in Naples, but that's what you come up against in the Champions League, Paul. You come up against the best players, the best teams, the best managers. And if Rangers put in that sort of performance they did up until Sands gets sent off, Liverpool will know they'll be in a game.
Can Rangers still come third and automatically go into the Europa League? Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, what can they not come second?
That's the right thing. I was trying to lead you into that. Yeah, of course.
No, you're right.
Yeah, this is always going to be one of the toughest.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. You're right. It's going to be really tough, especially when you get a double header, as Barry said there, against Liverpool, who are a team that are fortunate to have the 3 points, because if it wasn't for Joe Matip scoring that late header last night, so they could have just had one. But listen, anything can happen in football. I think one thing for sure is when you're playing against Liverpool, British teams playing against each other, anything can happen. The emotional side of the game comes into play as well. So you never know if Rangers go a goal up. But will they qualify for Europe? I think they will in the third spot, if I'm honest with you. I do think they can get something from the Liverpool games, and then it's down to the last game.
Barry, what do you feel?
Yeah, again, I'm being positive tonight because of that performance, Paul. If they continue that sort of performance, they've got every chance to at least get in that third place. Look, when the groups come out, when you were looking at both, I mean, I was excited, like everybody, when you're watching Rangers and Celtic, first time both of them been in for a long time in the Champions League. I thought Rangers' group was really tough. Toughest out of both Rangers and Celtic, but again, you've got to remain positive, and if they bring that sort of performance to the party, then they'll have a chance, no doubt about it.
Football-wise, it's been a special couple of weeks, hasn't it, with the Real Madrid in town against Celtic. This is maybe a bit like that, Chris, in that Real Madrid came and won 3-0, but there's a feel-good factor with Celtic. They've gone to Warsaw, 1-1 also.
They should have won
tonight. Should have won, shouldn't they? They so many chances.
Yeah, they were the better team. They dominated, and they just weren't ruthless enough in front of goal, where normally domestically they have been. But they'll be disappointed coming back and playing for Poland, not coming away with 3 points.
Well, that's what we were saying on the other podcast, which is available as well if you want to find out what Peter Grant and Mark Guidi were saying about Celtic's performance. But here on this podcast, looking back at the Rangers game as we wind up in the last few minutes, so I can see, because I've been with you, Barry, recently for some of the games when it wasn't so good for Rangers at Celtic Park 2 weeks ago. But tonight, I can see you saw so much to take from the games. What are the players thinking about the signings in the summer? Because that was our line when we were on air earlier on. None of the summer signings were started tonight. Is that an indictment? Is that a damning indictment on the transfer policy? That's probably unfair, but it's certainly a challenge to them. They need to.
I think that starting 11 set the bar tonight with the performance, and now the new signings will be sitting on the bench or in the stand looking at that and thinking, right, that's the level that I need to get into that starting 11. Don't get me wrong, I think some of the signings. Sholak scored 7 goals. Tillman showed a bit of promise at the start of the season. I thought Lawrence showed his qualities, but there is a few that have maybe struggled to get up to speed in terms of Matondo. Ben Davies, a big signing from Liverpool, 3 million, 3.5 million. He's not even getting any game time. So look, they would have watched that for the sidelines and realise what's needed to try and get into that starting 11. Because forget about fighting spirit and a desire. I think that should be a given anyway. But I just thought Rangers brought a bit of quality to the game tonight as well. Because coming up against a very good team, they had some top quality players. And they were a joy to watch. Some of their 1 and 2 touch stuff round about the box. But in terms of going forward, the new signings, to get into the Rangers team, they need to show that level that the starting 11 did tonight.
Who was man of the match for you, Chris, then, before we go? From the Rangers' point of view?
Oh, I think that's an easy one. I think McGregor gets that from me, but I do agree with Barry. I think there was a lot of good performances tonight, and Stephen Davis in Arfield, and having Morelos back as well is great to see, but McGregor gets it from me.
Yeah. Barry?
Morelos makes a big difference. I've always said that, and Burkie says at the start, you don't want to take that devilment out of him. He's always walking on that ice in terms of you don't know what's going to happen, but you see him in that Rangers starting 11 tonight. Look, he's not 100% fit, but what he brings to the team, defenders know they're in a game when they're coming up against Morelos. And listen, he just needs more game time. I'm sure he'll get a bit more game time on Saturday and going forward, because he's a big player for Rangers. But in terms of man of the match, you've got to give it to Alan McGregor.
Yeah.
But I thought Stephen Davis, as I said, was exceptional. Scott Arfield, Burkie mentioned him. Yeah. And I'm a big admirer, Paul. You know, I've always says over the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've wondered why he's not in the starting 11, because I think he brings so much, not just his experience, but he's got so much quality. But I thought overall, Rangers as a team, there was nobody that was under par tonight.
No. And final word would be the Rangers fans who brought the noise, brought the atmosphere, and I think the players fed off that, Chris, didn't they? Right from before kick-off.
They've always been like that, especially in the European ties. Even when I was at Rangers, and Barry will tell you he's played in a lot more than me. And I'm sure all you can ask of them is just bring that noise again on Saturday. And I'm sure if they get a goal early doors against Dundee United, they'll be going for the jugular. So the fans have to be positive, keep a good mindset. There's going to be dips in performances and results through times, especially when Giovanni Van Bronckhorst is looking to change things. He's looking to put a little bit of stamp on his own style. He's looking to bring in the players that he wants to bring in. But you have to be patient. But at the same turn, you have to win football matches. And I know they haven't happened in the last 3 games, but I'm sure the fans will get a good game on Saturday against Dundee United, and a good result and a good performance also.
Yeah, Paul, in terms of the fans, look, there's going to always be, and Burkie will tell you, look, a draw is not acceptable at Rangers, but when you get a defeat, it's a disaster. And there's a lot of anger and frustration with the last 2 results. But one thing about the Rangers fans, they'll always come and back their team. And they did that tonight. I mean, you heard it on the TV. I mean, the atmosphere was absolutely electric. And it's like that all the time in European football. So I had no doubt they would come and back their team and try and roll them onto a result. Sadly, they never got that result. But again, I'll look and try and take the positives. I'm sure Gio will try and do that, because there was a lot of good performances. And at least they made Napoli know they were in a game. That was the main thing for me.
3-0 to Napoli, but against the 10-man Rangers for much of the second half. Barry, Chris, thanks a lot for joining us on this special Euro night with Steen, and we'll be back at the Radisson Red, October the 4th. Although, Barry, Chris, you got tickets for Anfield? Any spare tickets going?
I wish. I've not got time, I'm too busy coaching.
Right, come on, talk to you about that soon. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Barry.
Thank you.
Speak to you soon.